This episode of Scab Talk is brought to you by Lethal Gaming Gear. And welcome back to Scab Talk, everyone. Today's episode, we'll be discussing the fresh, hot off the presses, Season 2, Chapter 6, just released. With that came new quests, kind of like an event. We'll talk about that. Then we got a segment of mine that I love dearly that returned, reincarnated, reconstructed from the grave. Meme or meta? We'll have a little fun chat about that. Then we're going to continue with Giga's. I'm drawing a blank here. Giga, help me out. The Lighthouse questing part 2.
Lighthouse Adventures.
The pain and suffering that is Lighthouse. And Cultist Circle. Giga's been trying to get his quest completed that way, which is pretty clever. I failed to account for that. And then finally, I'll close out if we have time for a little bit of talk about this one game, Dale and Dawson.
Awesome stuff. So, did you know, I was actually looking back through clips from last wipe. I was actually looking for some specific gun kill clips back in my archive, and I was like, oh, is this from this wipe or last wipe? And it's basically like a clip of me at level 54, like near the end of last wipe, using a gun. And I was like, oh wait, no, this is last wipe. Oh yeah, because the speed of this wipe is so crazy. I am now level 50 in the base game, right? Which is like, at this point in the wipe, is like just unheard of for me to be at this level. So it's like actually just insane. And especially just doing the arena dailies every day, just going in there, grabbing them. Like it's completely insane. Like I'm super close to ref 4 now. I've got a 1.15 rep and you need 1.2. So it's basically either 2 sets dailies or dailies and 1 weekly. So yeah, like super high level now. I got all a bunch of the high level quests and whatever. I think I can't remember what the highest level thing is now. Is it like 55 or 60 or something? I can't remember if there's any more quests after those, but I'm still like nowhere near having to actually complete those things or even being bothered to do it. But yeah, progression is pretty up there. Basically there for I guess the end game, I suppose, at this point, which seems weird because I'm still kind of like usually building up. I think like money's also fairly easy because you don't need to actually buy armor anymore. You just buy CPC rigs from ref. So yeah, things are just kind of like things are just going. But yeah, mostly just like bashing my head against Lighthouse, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But other than my just general shenanigans in the game so far, this week has been like incredibly quiet for EFT. It's just people just doing the thing, just playing the games. I think people have been busy doing kind of like semi-marathon type extracty sort of transition-y stuff outside of this because people are still playing around with the fact that you can just stay in raid for all time if you want to, which is kind of cool. And so actually, even before the cast, we were kind of like, what are we actually going to, there's nothing news related to talk about. We'll just have to actually talk about real things. Heaven forbid. But Saved by the Bell, obviously BSG knows when Scout Talk goes live. So they decided to help us out a little bit and release Chronicles of Ryzhy episode 6, season 2, which is the final episode. It's so long between each one. I mean, it must take them forever to actually like produce these and stitch them together and do the edits and all that other stuff, alongside trying to do everything else they're trying to do. So I don't remember when the last one was, and I had to go and watch the end of number 5 to remind myself of what had even happened. So if you haven't watched it yet and you don't want to find out, then close your ears for 5-10 minutes or something, because I'm going to run through what goes on in there just as a quick lowdown. I mean, it's not like enough spoilery to be, some people care though. Some people care.
Of course,
so if you care,
of course.
If you care, close your ears a bit, and if you want to watch it for the first time without hearing anything about it, then sure. I don't have the full rundown for the community, obviously, because it's literally just come out. I watched it for 20 minutes, waited for church for another 20 minutes, and then we kind of started the cast. So maybe I'll be able to see some stuff out online as I'm reading through this. But basically, so for a quick recap for those of you who'd forgotten or hadn't watched the previous one, they had to go and I actually can't remember what it was that they were going to get, but they had to go into labs to go and get something, and they went in with this Chad friend of Chepasheila's. So we actually got introduced to like the USEC Chad, if you remember, with like the night vision goggles, like fully decked out guys. Basically, like I quite like the fact that they put in, the PMC Giga Chad, who's like Labs main kind of person in there, which is quite funny. And yeah, they go back and it's Ryzhy, it's Chepasheila, it's Den, and the Mega Chad guy. And spoilers from the previous one as well. If you don't want to hear about that, then close your ears. But I'm going to carry on. At this point, no more spoiler warnings. Then Den gets shot at the end of episode 5 in labs and presumably killed. And the rest of them escape. And Ryzhy's kind of like going through some kind of mental breakdown because his friends got shot. There's like some conversation, like Chepasheila said, I'm going to leave Tarkov, and I'm fed up with all this rubbish, blah, blah, blah. And as they're like walking through the forest, Partisan like shows up and like watches over them, and, like looks as if he's going to shoot, and then doesn't do anything, just like leaves them alone. So presumably they're deemed like, I don't know, maybe it's partly Ryzhy, or maybe they're just like good karma or whatever. I'm not really sure. But then you see Jaeger's dog, because Partisan and Jaeger are kind of like best buds, and these lot are sat with Jaeger after the battle, and they're just like talking about it a bit, and this, that, and the other. And Ryzhy asks Jaeger about like Anastasia, therapist, the blue-haired doctor, who was therapist's friend, who we saw in like, one of the episodes. And he was like, she went off with Arshavir to do some business at the Lighthouse. Arshavir's Ragman. And there was like pictures ages ago of like blue-haired doctor with Ragman with... I think BSG released them as like photos. It was when people were doing like the ARG stuff. There was like, I think they were part of the ARG like cache of things, and the Nice Guys community released those pictures. So something's happening on at Lighthouse, and then they talk about Voevoda as well. I actually can't remember who Voevoda is. I think it might have been like the squad leader or something of the Bears, or something like that, who was missing. I forget. But anyway, Jaeger says like something's brewing over at the Lighthouse. So the three of them like set off through the woods. There's like cult symbols on the ground, on the trees, this kind of thing, and they're just like talking about the cultists and saying like, who are these guys? Like the USEC PMC doesn't seem to know who they are, and it's pretty funny because most of this stuff is subtitled except for the English conversation with the PMC. And I think Chepasheila says to him like, they're true believers, these guys, they're true believers. So they've got that reference in the Chronicles of Ryzhy, which is funny. So like they obviously that actually gives you like a bit of unless it's like pure coincidence, which I think is very unlikely, that gives you a bit of context around like when it was filmed. So it must have been filmed after the Unheard blow up, which is quite fun. But anyway, they find like a cult circle in one of the houses. There's like GPUs and guns and all sorts of stuff on there, and like a Bitcoin. And there's like Gluhar, Kaban, and Sanatan nearby. And there's like some guy like wanders in to where they are, and they have to shoot them. And then they basically just get chased by the bosses. Kaban gets shot in the ear by the USIC PMC, which is like a clear like Trump assassination reference, because it's like very similar. He's like got like the ear bloody and everything. It's like it's like filmed and like shot in sort of the same way. And then there's the BTR people are there, and then they just end up getting like chased after by like a whole bunch of like guards with like Altins on and stuff. Like it's kind of nuts. One of them gets blown up by a tripwire, one of the guards, and then they end up getting like, they've obviously been being chased for a long time. It's like dusk or whatever, and they're trying to escape. Chepu's trying to like get out with this car. They like, the PMC tells him to go and like get in this car, and he tries to go and do that. But he ends up sort of freaking out, turns it on, and just like drives off because he's getting shot at. So he like leaves the other two behind. But there's a cult person like straight away as soon as he turns around. So he like crashes into a set of logs, and then his car gets hit by a grenade launcher from one of the Kaban guard, or Sanatar Kaban guards who are chasing after them. Presumably that kills him. I don't know, but and then the cult actually show up and like kill all the guards and save the PMCs. It seems, led by Zurachi, which is kind of interesting. And then there's like a little clip of Den with like a bunch of bears, presumably after being shot. It looks like he's been, he's injured. So maybe he got like rescued from labs by like bear squad or whatever after he got shot with Ryzhy. And then the final scene is Ryzhy and the USEC PMC on the beach at the Lighthouse. It looks like they're either meeting somebody or they're kind of just like walking past somebody else who's also at the Lighthouse. It seems kind of unlikely, but so like, yeah, it's weird. It's like a lot of cult stuff. In there's talking about Lightkeeper, and you've got the cultists are like doing a thing, and Lightkeeper's clearly involved, and there's lots of people who are going to the Lighthouse and doing various things. So I mean, I don't know exactly how much to take from this yet, because a lot of it's very stuff happens. There's a lot of just like chasing and people firing guns, and a few people are working together, and the fact that like Den may still be alive, which is good. But this, I don't really know. But after this, there's like a new quest that's popped up about the cult, which kind of coincides with this as well. Because we know that the cult's supposed to be important within the story, and you basically have that. I think I don't know how many parts it is, but you have to kill 5 of the cultists. Now I don't know whether they eliminate the hooded night people. I have no idea whether it's just nighttime or what. Like the information is just not out yet, but it looks like maybe it's the first part of a little series of quests or something to do with Chronicles of Ryzhy. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but it's always fun. It's always a fun watch. I do enjoy the Chronicles, of course. They're filmed well.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was watching this footage as you were giving the recap, and like the production on this is like to the level of the Raid series. Like, I mean, it felt like some of the earlier Rizier productions were like not quite. You know how they would do events and they would like record with like a mobile phone or something, and maybe it's like a little immersive, but like this stuff here is just like, I mean, they really pulled out all the stops for it, you know. So like they definitely put a lot of work into this, and I imagine too that they probably get a lot of satisfaction and enjoyment out of this because like you get to like tell a story in a very artistic way within their own sort of story that they've created, you know, and universe. And I think it's really cool. Like, I'm sure it's a lot of fun, you know, being, I imagine maybe they get some, you know, local talent actors, but I imagine a lot of these people, or some of these people at the very least, are employees of BSG, like devs presumably. So I think it's a very cool thing overall. Like it's, I don't know, I'm happy for them. I guess you know.
That's what they said originally, that it was all devs. I don't know whether they've added extra people, but like the production value has certainly gone up as time has gone on.
Yeah, like it looks really good. Like this isn't like you know uh I don't. It's like definitely it's impressive. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it's like not amateur, that's for sure.
Exactly. Exactly.
And as I said, it's like got better as time's gone on. I think these are produced by Dimitri, actually. I think he's like the main guy kind of putting them together. At least obviously there's a lot of people involved, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's good. At some point it's gonna be worth going back and like watching the whole series of them. Because it says at the end, you know, the Richie's gonna be back in season 3. So there's more to the story.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be ultimately it'll be interesting to know whether this does actually like link to the main game or whether it's just going to be like its own thing,
Right.
because you know they're working on the story and they have been for a year. So whether at the beginning they were just separate and then they're going to slowly like link them in, I don't really know. But
Yeah,
they've
because
done the bosses really well and things like this in the episodes. It's very cool.
yeah, yeah, because you have like the Raid series, which is like kind of like the first, not even like the first beginnings. I see. I just saw the Trump reference there. Um,
Yeah,
sorry, because yeah, it really wasn't. It was kind of like the general lore right in the middle of the conflict. You know, it's not like you got like the very introductory, you know, story. Like in the beginning, there was war. War never changes. You know, something like this.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this like concludes and if it's like a standalone, like you said, or if it's just like they're doing this to slowly get closer to that 1.0 and kind of drop stuff here and there. But we'll see.
Yes, we shall indeed. There's the only other thing about it that was interesting is the episode is called Viam Supervadet Vadens, which I stuck into Google Translate because I have no idea about that at all. And it said, I tried to do it in Russian, but apparently it came up as Latin, was the automatic detection thing, and it didn't do anything in Russian. I mean, obviously it's not in Cyrillic characters, but like usually it'll do something. But anyway, from Latin apparently it translates to "he will go over the road." Your guess is as good as mine. I have no clue, no clue what that means. But I thought, well, we should at least figure out what it is.
And when was
So
this?
that's that.
When did this prop up?
Hmm?
When did this arise?
That's literally the name of the episode.
Oh, gotcha.
So it's called like The Chronicles of Ryzhy Season 2, Chapter 6, VM Super Vadens.
I mean,
It's the title of the video.
I imagine there's gotta be some loss in Google translation. Like there might be some, metaphorical or cultural, you know, what I'm trying to think of an example. It's not supposed to be literal road. Like there might be some more a better translatable definition or word or whatever. I'm just, you know, I don't know. I'm just assuming here. Maybe it
Yeah,
is
I
literal and
really
he's
don't
gonna go over the road. I don't
know.
know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think this one seemed to be like one of the larger scale ones that they've done. People are like running through fields, and there's like people's just stood by BTR, and they've got like PKMs and RPDs and things with like suppressors on them, and there's just a lot of ordnance going on, cars blowing up. Actually, there's a really cool scene, like the bit right at the end.
Hmm.
There's when they're like walking down the beach. I, I mean, unless it is some kind of real place that they've just like taken the direct inspiration of, but it seems unlikely. Like right at the end, they're walking down the beach and the lighthouse is in the background, and it looks like kind of like walking along like from the direction of Southern Road or whatever, but like further away, like shoreline or something. And like it must be computer generated in the back corner. Like it's very cool. If you like on the
Huh.
live stream, if you skip like right to the end after the credits,
Okay.
there's a
Got it.
shot where they're walking along and you actually see it like and it must be they must have like superimposed it in. I can't believe that this place like exists like that. Like maybe it does, maybe it does. I don't know. But it seems unlikely, especially with the radar dome kind of thing. I'm sure you'll see it in a second when it shows up. But
Yeah.
yeah, they've like obviously got more technical with what they're doing on these things.
Yeah, I was wondering how much of this stuff do they utilize, like green screen or I mean, I don't know if they have access to this, but the more intricate stuff. Oh yeah, I see what you're talking about, the little radar station and the lighthouse. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I imagine that's probably that seems pretty easy to do in post. I mean, I say
It's a static
relatively
shot
easy.
too.
Yeah, that exactly. But nothing. I imagine they don't have access to the stuff that like Hollywood and Disney does. The freaking like uh parts where it's like a 3D rotational camera and it's
Mm.
they're just all acting in like empty space, but in the camera it's like I forget what it's called, but it's very cool tech. Anyways,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure now you could probably just add it with AI. I'm sure you can. Now you could do
yeah,
that with pictures in like 2 seconds,
yeah.
but you could probably just add it over multiple frames in a static picture. I'm sure that's like super easy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so apparently yeah, so like Halloween event, this thing that's coming through. So you got to kill cultists. I don't know. Some people are coming into chat saying like 60% cultist spawn rate on like streets in Ground Zero, but I haven't seen that information anywhere. Maybe it's in like Discords or whatever. I haven't seen it on Twitter yet. So this is like hot off the press info. I
I
wonder if
like the
oh yeah, look.
I like the art on the quests. Like sometimes they reuse art. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, which it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but I will say this new art is really nice. Like it looks really well done. There's got like three different characters. The center focus being the cultists, and just the coloring, the red with like the blue lighting contrasting it. The cultist circle markings in the background looks really nice. Really well done.
It does look good. What was this picture? There was there's a link that you added here because we were very light on stuff, but there was something here. Was this a picture from Dimitri? Let me just
Um,
quickly check it. Oh, I see what this one is. Yes, this was a Dimitri picture of people lying around a BTR. So this is directly from the episode.
yeah,
Maybe this was done actually pretty recently.
yeah, maybe. Oh, look at that. That's so cool. So you can kind of see behind the scenes. There's like a cameraman on top of the BTR with the boom mic guy behind him standing. Looks like you got another cameraman from a different angle on the ground. And I, is that soldier? Does he have a camera also? I can't tell. But anyways, it's cool.
Yeah, so that's clearly what they've been doing the old Ryzhy stuff.
So I mean,
So yes,
that's kind of it for news in Tarkov, updates, if you will, events going on. BSG, it seems like they've been busy with a lot of different stuff because they have the TwitchCon event, the game show in Tokyo, and clearly they put a lot of work into this Ryzhy Season 2, Chapter 6. So,
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, with this wipe being so short, I mean, we're October already, so it's not going to be that long until we're talking about wipe again because, August wipe or whatever, it's like you have, we're like a month and a half in or something. And so by the time you're 2 months in, you're like halfway through. So in a month's time, we'll be thinking, oh, wipe in like 4 weeks, like next month, which is like kind of insane. It's actually kind of insane. But and like if we look at I'm just like thinking about going back to that. I don't know if you have do you have the roadmap like to hand?
I
Because I just
don't.
suddenly thought like, oh, actually, we should probably think about it. If I send it to you, Discord,
Yeah, do
I have it
that.
right here. Then you can at least bring it up because we should look at that like now because it does feel like that's probably what they're going to be like bunkering down, getting ready for these things too. And because there are 3 more patches, which includes presumably the wipe patch, just to remind us of where we're at. We haven't even had the 2.2 arena patch yet, the very first patch on the roadmap. So that's with the new location and the new game mode. That hasn't even arrived yet. Then it's going to be the synchronization patch, and then
Oh,
we have Unity
yeah.
2022 update, which hasn't happened yet either. We know that was on ETS, but we haven't heard any more about
Correct.
that. And then we got 15.5, which is the big quality of life one. That's the one with the stash and hideout matching interaction thing, locking items and all of that stuff. A couple more arena patches, and then the white patch, which we're assuming it's the white patch, but it's pretty much got to be with 16.0. So we should be seeing some of this stuff soon, hopefully.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I didn't. I mean, I'm sure we talked about it, but it didn't stay in my mind. But the fact that 15.5, the big Escape from Tarkov patch, because there's a 15.5 and there's a 16.0, right? On this something that resembles a timeline.
Mm,
It's interesting because the fall weather season is mentioned in 15.5, which
yeah.
presumably, you know, I mean, I don't know about for you, but for me in the States, as far as the seasons go in Tarkov, they've been pretty close to what the States experience. So, um, it's kind of fall right now. So, where's that fall? Where's that updates? BSG, we're getting into winter here in a couple of months. Time's a ticking.
Yeah, the summer one was quite late, if I remember. Going from
A
like
bit,
muddy
yeah.
boots to summer did take
Yeah.
them quite a while. I mean, at this point, I'm almost starting to think, I don't. Because like, we've had patches before though, where it went like 13.0, 13.5, patch 14. That kind of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering whether, like, is it possible? It doesn't give you any time date
No.
or anything like that. So, like, is it possible 15.5 is the white patch? Like, it doesn't say anything about the fact that this couldn't be like 15.5 is the white patch, 16 is actually like next summer. Oh,
But
no, it
see,
says winter though. It says
that's the
winter. No,
thing, right?
there we go. It says winter. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
you're
because
right. You're
16.0
right.
says the winter season, which, I mean, like I said, they could totally mix it up, and do that. But I don't know. I just don't think that's the case. But anything's possible with
Yeah,
PSG.
yeah. I think that's true. So I get, yeah, we just got to kind of wait for that then. I suppose wait for being able to lock things in our stash eventually. I can't wait. I actually can't wait.
And isn't that, or is that the 16.0 when they're doing stash management while queuing?
That's 15.5.
Yeah, that's gonna be huge. I mean, like pure quality of life. Like no one's gonna complain about that unless it's like completely broken. But ideally, no one's gonna. That is one change that's like should be a unanimous win. W.
Yeah. I mean, I hope so. I mean, I've voiced my opinion about making it usable throughout the entire process because if it literally is just the matching bit, it's going to be sad. But I've voiced my opinion
Usually just the
about
what
such
bit.
things. So like as you're going through the matching, right? There's like 30 different stages or whatever because it says
Oh
stash hideout
right,
interaction while matching,
right.
and it needs to be there whilst like waiting for players, because otherwise it's it's going to be scuffed.
Ash Rises in your chat says Airwing confirmed it's only when matching, not the entire queue. How did he confirm that? Not that.
Yeah, I don't know. We will see. We
Yeah.
will see.
Wonder.
So, in the meanwhile, what would you rather do? Would you rather hear about my experience of self-flagellation and masochism, or would you like to talk about memes?
I like to talk about memes. I'm in a group chat that the previous group chat was called No Memes, which just like is a real struggle. the policy is no memes. It's a more of a professional group chat. I'm like, God, there's anyways, literally 1984. So anyways. Yeah, meme or meta? Meme or meta? So I haven't, for clarification, I have not. Well, I guess that's not entirely true. I've not really played the swipe. Okay, I was gonna say I've not played the swipe, but I did play the swipe. But it's so minuscule. It's might as well say I'm not playing the swipe. And I was talking with GigaBeef, and I was like, man, I really wish I could like test this out on PvE account or something. But then it's like I gotta like grind to 15, and like, do I really want to do all that? And I was like, not really. Um, so, but in theory, right, the Bipods, Giga. I want to believe that it's not a meme, that it's meta. And hear me out, okay? Because there's two guns that come to mind immediately. One, the RPK, right? You get some PS in there. And then, I mean, really, the bulk of this discussion is how do you utilize this to your advantage? And for me, it would have to be, you know, what quests could I link with this to make this like, or let's say, because you know how like on Punisher 5, right? You gotta wear like you gotta wear a pack of armor and like a really crappy, and like most people don't want to do that. And if I'm not mistaken, you can't go to factory anymore. Is that correct? Or
You
can you still?
you can still, yeah, you can still. It's one of the few where
Okay.
they've not gone like,
Except for factory. Well, I
yeah,
guess then I might be inclined to go to factory. But my point is like, let's say you have an annoying quest that's like you got to kill players, but one of the restrictions is not tied to your weapon, or if it is tied to your weapon, it falls within the bounds of like an RPK or something,
yeah.
or the caliber. Then I was thinking, well, you could just like post up somewhere in like a reliable choke point or whatever, and like once you're set up, you can't miss with a bipod RPK. Like you just can't. Like they're going to die, right?
It's kind of it's kind of true. It's kind of true. I'm like looking around because I'm just like thinking because the way that the bipods work are like really. This is like part of the problem. Okay, I'm like
Yeah.
while you're talking, I'm just like moving around, just going like I'm just not looking in the right place. It's possible, but I don't think you can get bipod on the RPK at the moment, unless I've screwed it up.
Oh, I thought it
Which is
came with
possible.
one. Like
No,
there was a
the
long
RPD
one.
does. The RPD does.
Oh, I'm
But not the
sorry. I said
RPK.
RPK. Yeah, you're right. I meant RPD. Oh, I'm sorry. My mistake.
Yeah. So you can with the RPD. That's fine. It does come with one for sure. But the long version does at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. They're on the flea. Like the ones with the iron sights, they're like
Mm-hmm.
30k on the flea. They're so cheap.
That's so cheap. You see what I'm
They're
saying?
so
Like,
cheap.
and I imagine too the G30. This was the other one I was thinking. It was a G36, like the stock configuration, and then I think you need
Ew.
piece. Accurate statement. Accurate response. I think you need Peacekeeper 2 to get the bipod attachment. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Or does it come stock with it? I can't remember. I think it doesn't.
So there's basically there's a generalistic bipod
Mm-hmm.
that fits with everything. Like some of them have the specific one, and that's
Yes.
fine. So I think this one, the
Um,
G36 has a specific one, I believe.
yes. There's a long. I know for a fact there's a long on the six vent, it can attach
Yeah.
a very specific.
Yeah, but then there's the BT10 V8 Atlas, which is
Mm-hmm.
the one that kind of goes on everything, and that's the is that Mechanic 3? I can't remember. It's either Mechanic 3 or Mechanic 2. Yes, Mechanic 3. But because they're quite sought after, they're only 13k on the fleet because people just buy them and flip them because lots of people
Yeah.
buy them. So
Yeah.
it's not too bad, and they can go on all sorts of things at that point. You can put them on the shorter G36s. You can put them on AK-74Us. You can put them
Yeah.
on like random stuff. Like I think we talked about this before. You can basically put them on anything that either has a rail or a handguard that ensures that it can only
Mm-hmm.
go on the bottom. So you've got like SAS chassis for the M1A, the G36, anything that takes the Alexander Arms 10-inch rail so that you can get them on the M4. Trax bridge mount. There's like a whole bunch more AR-15 stuff, DVL, 74U, SR-25 if you use like the Noveske SWS handguards. HK could take one. SA-58 could take one, which is maybe interesting. The quad rail one. You could even put
Yeah.
one on the Saiga 12 if you're absolutely mental.
I see. I was thinking you forego the Atlas because the extra, like, the idea is like, because these things are so cheap, it's like
Mm,
what your purchasing power is. Maybe this is the wrong, but it's like you're spending very little money for like a very high performance gun. The caveat is you have to be using the mounting, feature, right? And maybe if
yeah.
it's the RPD, you don't get iron sights. But like, I mean, does it really matter when it's basically zero recoil?
Yeah. Honestly, the issue with it is just it's more about actually getting the bipod to go on anything.
Yeah,
And then once it's on anything, to try and get it to like then look the way that you think it's gonna look.
right.
It's just so tight. Like the verticality is so tight. It's the direction is based on the way that you first begin, and then the verticality is based kind of upon your stance, sort of. So I think you're actually better off bipoding on like a box or something because your PMC is half stood up. You kind of get more leeway because you can like stand up fully and pivot or crouch down fully and pivot. So my experience so far was it was better being on a box. Like being prone was just really hard to actually get it to go up or down enough to actually see anything as long as the ground wasn't like perfectly flat, which have made it kind of hard. And that was the thing. Like I think it would be a lot better if it wasn't for that. The fact that it's like so finicky and fiddly to
Mm-hmm.
like, get it on stuff. I was like running around. I think we talked about it last time. But I was like running around the road camp as a scav with the M60, and I'm just like bipoding on this, bipoding on that. But I'm trying to set up on this guy. I know exactly where he's going to be. There's only one way out. And in the end, like I spent so much time faffing around, I ended up just killing him while I'm crouched. It's like I didn't even use the bipod in the end because it's just I was like wandering around for
Yeah,
5 minutes trying to find somewhere for it to go, and he just like came down and just we just let rip while we just stood up. So that's the problem for me. Like you have to really find a spot because to do it
exactly.
dynamically, you kind of already have had to have like gone somewhere and tested it beforehand.
Yeah.
The place that's the most surefire is like an actual box that's level. That
Mm-hmm.
will almost always work, which is good. But I have a feeling, can't remember whether you could just like mount a gun on there anyway. I don't remember, but like those places are the best places to mount. It's like the edges around the pawn buildings on reserve, it's always going to work around those, like on a crate, on a box, whatever. Like barrels and stuff are like fiddly. Sometimes they don't work. Rocks are like in particular just really, really finicky to get working. Like there are places where it does function sometimes, but it's just so hard to get to work. Like since I was trying to force it, I haven't been able to make it work. But like I've seen some clips of people in, let's say, I think like I just sent me one in Resort and being on the top floor and shooting down into the which way West Wing from east, but like from the roof and just like looking through the window because
Oh,
there's that room there.
yeah.
That's like the high value room. You can just be up there and just like because there's like one quest and I don't remember which series it is, but you have to use the RPD with
Uh-huh.
a really like horrible eastern sight. It's like one of the default sites for it, and you have to like get PMC kills that way. Can't remember which one. Maybe it's test drive. I think it's one of the later test drives
Uh-huh.
because I don't normally bother with test drive. So yeah, I've seen some nasty clips of people like killing people, and like, there's that clip of Axel, and he kills somebody from one woods beach to the other over the water.
Oh wow, yeah.
The classic like bypassing the sawmill kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just like it can be nutty, but it's you have to be in the right place at the right time, and then have the angle right. Otherwise, you can't look up enough to make this one work. You can't look down enough to make
Yeah.
this one work. You can't look left or right enough to make this work, and it's a right faff.
So conclusion: meme or or meta? It's a bit of a meme, isn't it?
It kind of depends. I think right now it's a meme. I think
Yeah.
right now it's a meme because like it's like a cheese strategy. You know, you have
Mm-hmm.
to go to a particular place, set up in a particular spot, and the reason why it's a cheese and the reason why it's a meme and not like a regular strategy is because you have to be doing like a specific thing to make it work, and you're probably just better off picking a different gun and playing normally rather than sitting in one place trying to get low recoil on a weapon when you could just pick a low recoil weapon. Like it's just weird,
Yeah.
you know. It's just weird. I've not been able to make it work properly, really. Like every time I take one with me, like I'm trying to like force it to make it work and end up getting killed, and it's just strange. Like I got killed one time trying to make it work against this guy when I was using a long barreled M4 on Shoreline, but it's just like I just couldn't get it to deploy half the time. That was half the problem. Like you need to be in such specific places. It only really works in urban combat, like outside natural combat. It's just not it's just not it, which is like where I would want it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It probably works better on streets, honestly. I've not really tried it on streets. Maybe I should try it on streets because there's lots of like window ledges and things that are flat there. So it probably interacts a lot better with the map.
That's what I was thinking is like, oh, let me go on like customs and
Mm.
like the backside of like two-story Doran, there's like a little hill kind of like in between the train tracks and two-story and gas station. It's like
Yeah.
I was thinking, oh, you like prone there, you get just the right angle where you're slanted slightly down, but not too far down to where you can't aim. But it's just gonna be so awkward. Like it's probably, I think as you said, it has potential, but someone has to go in and put in the work to find all the little like micro, niche spots that it's like, your effective, um, you know, skyrockets in terms of kill potential.
Yeah, and you kind of have to be wanting to camp
Yes, that's the
to
thing,
do
right?
it.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And I think that's why it makes sense for you to talk about EMC kill quests for it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that's what you're going out of your way to do. You're not doing anything else. You're not moving around the map. You're not questing. You're just like kill PMCs, which you could do in any way that you like. And so, yeah, I like maybe you could do that, but I don't really do, I move around tactically sometimes, but I don't like sit in a place without any info and just wait. Like I never do that ever because I just think it's generally just a bit of a waste of time. But if you did want to do, I mean, like maybe there's a way to set up. But again, like the places that I usually am setting up, I'm like moving around, and then I'm like, oh, in some random like rocky ridgeline, and I'm like, well, I can't use the bipod now because it won't deploy. It's like, where would you want to do this kind of stuff? Well, it's like up on. You want to be like, I have a vantage point of some kind. Yeah, up on resort rocks, like I can't do that, or up on Lighthouse rocks somewhere, or I can't do that, and it won't let you. Which is why, like, maybe streets is a good place, or reserve in some locations, or I'm trying to think like where else might be good. Yeah, that was the Shoreline clip for those video viewers which are just playing. So it's like, this is the thing, it only really works on these kinds of like, what would you call it, walls or barricades or whatever. It's got to be basically flat,
Oh, can
otherwise it's
you?
just not working properly.
Sorry, I'm just noticing in this clip.
Mm.
You can scroll zoom with this site. Isn't this like a 2.5? Or is this just some weird thing with the Tarkov FOV changing when you use optics like
I actually
this?
can't remember. It might just be the slow FOV because the thing's got like no ergo, so
Okay.
it
It's
might
the
just be that.
okay. I just says it's the bipod being weird. Okay, checks out.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think it has the potential to be good,
Mm-hmm.
but it needs to be more flexible. Like I think they could genuinely increase the vertical range. Like the horizontal range, I get, but if they increase the vertical range on it, so it doesn't like lock you so hard. Maybe it does something weird to the third party models or whatever. If somebody's like prone and like looking up vertically, you have somebody like bending at 90 degrees like a banana up into the air, or like vice versa down into the ground. So I can see maybe why they have done it the way they've done it, but it's just a bit too restrictive mechanically to actually play with it, in my opinion, most of the time, unless you're doing something very specific. So yeah, you got to think like there's people who are using it way better than I am, I'm sure, but it just doesn't really fit with my playstyle. Like solo, moving around, it's almost better as a duo. You've got like somebody calling the shots, and then you're kind of covering, and you have the recoil to reach super far to like cover your friend. That's one potential way of doing it. But yeah, as a solo, it's just like you're just kind of too static. I kind of like don't really want to be seen. I don't really want to be like in the way most of the time. You kind of just want to minimize. Like I'm usually minimizing my own sight lines and then fighting people at like close-ish ranges usually, and so there's typically not much. Yeah, not many times to get it to work.
Just
But we'll see.
a thought arose in my head, and I'm gonna look it up and see if it is possible. But while I do that, I'd be curious to know if any of our listeners have any other related shenanigans, whether it be like a certain gear piece or a strategy revolving around this idea of meme or meta. I would love to hear people's feedback on that.
Yeah, the like there was a couple where as soon as you said it to me before, I was just like, what things are there? There's like tripwires. There's like the M60 machine gun because it's just hilarious. You've got like impact nades. You've got all sorts of things. This chat's got like RSH-12 with the biggest scope you can. There's some interesting things. Like one thing that I was thinking like might actually be quite good is the underbarrel grenade launcher with the shotgun shell, like the Western one. Because I tried that. It's called like the Apers shotgun or something. I tried it one time when the 6-shooter grenade launcher was like freely available at the end of Wipe last time. And if you're close up, it's like an insane version of the KS-23. Obviously, it's not pump. It's like one shot and then you have to reload it if you don't have the 6-shooter. But like you can kill Tagilla in a single hit, in theory, if you hit enough of them on his legs. Because it's like completely bonkers. So PMCs just evaporate. But obviously, you only get one shot.
Yeah.
With the regular one, which makes it a little tricky. I wonder, like, where is it? Where is it? Because it's because it's. And I misread this the first time. It's 15 times 160 is the damage this thing does, and it is like it's quite widespread. But yeah, it technically does a headline damage of 2,400. If you hit with all of the stuff. So you only need to hit them with 20% of the pellets. And actually, that's not true because it's effective HP. But if we just like very, very roughly, I'm not going to do it properly, but I'm not going to include the leg HP in there. But yeah, it's like 630, is that? That's what I say, 15 times. We'll just do a bit of quick calculation. Let's see, 15 times 160, 630. Yeah, okay, so it's about 1 every 4. So you need to hit 26% of the pellets onto the enemy's legs, and they will just keel over and die instantly. But it's just a super. That's a super meme, but it's actually maybe quite effective. So I'm like, I don't know. I was like thinking about that the other day. I was like, after you asked me about meme or meta, I was like, I wonder if that's actually any good. I might go and try it because I need to like test some of this stuff out.
So
you could buy them too.
I was thinking, I needed your assistance because I couldn't find anything on my own. But is there a quest that requires you to get PMC kills with some type of thermal sight? Because the one that came to mind was Test Drive Part 1, but they changed that so many times now that you no longer require a thermal.
Yeah, I don't think there is anymore, as far as I'm aware. I don't think there is, because that was like the one. It needed to be on the gun. Do you remember the times when people used to take the M1A with a thermal on it, and then they used to put the canted PKO6 and just take it to factory?
Yes, I remember. I would never do such a disgusting thing. No, surely not.
Not ever. Not you. Surely not. Yeah. I think you need to do. I'm looking at M203 underbarrel GLs. I think you need to do best job in the world.
Yeah,
to get that one.
I thought it was a Peacekeeper one to get the NATO version of the underbarrel.
Yeah, it's either like best job or worst job. Which one is it?
Oh yeah, okay. I see. I think you're right. It's best job.
I can't even remember how you get to that one. Best job in the world.
Don't you get
Parker.
to like
Don't
level
let me do this.
50?
Well, I don't have it. Oh, you need to do Punisher Part 6. Okay, like there's loads of quests that you need Punisher Part 6 for, and I haven't bothered because I've not been using the SVD.
I
I only
see.
did, like, the problem is, right, this is the classic content creator problem, where I'm just like, I made my SVD video already. So, like, now I can't use it anymore. Do you know what I mean?
You
Because, like,
made your
if I want to
SVD
make...
video too
I made the
early.
SVD video already, and, like, I did it, and then included, like, 8 of the 15 kills, but I've still got, like, 7 kills to go.
Mm.
But I don't want to use it because then that takes time away from me like doing other guns, which I want to make videos about. But if I'm using the SVD, then I'm not like getting clips for the other things, which is, you know, it's not very efficient use of time.
Sounds
So
like you have
I've
to
just
work
like
off the
stopped doing
clock.
Punisher Part
Giga.
6. Oh god, I'm not getting Punisher Part 6 kills off the clock. That sounds awful. Oh my word, that does sound
Sorry.
awful actually. Maybe I'll just have to camp with a bipod, Judge.
Comes through full circle.
It comes full circle. We're gonna camp with a bipod. That's the one. That's the way. Yeah. Anyway, so it's best of the. You need to do King of the Rooftops, which I also haven't done. Kill sniper scavs on streets. That's actually easier than it used to be. And then you get best job in the world, which is. Oh wait, no, sorry, that's the Prapple one. I mean, maybe it's worst job. Worst job in the world. Because best job in the world gets you the Eastern one for the AK-74 underbarrel, and you have to kill 30 hostiles from over 100 meters with an AK-74 style weapon. Worst job in the world gets you the Western underbarrel for the AR-15. Again, 30 enemies from over 100 meters away. That one you need to do. That one you need to do Revision Streets, and you need to do Wet Job Part 5. So, given that I got to Peacekeeper 4, I stopped doing Wet Job because I didn't need it for anything. So I'm on Wet Job Part 2, which is like go to the fisherman's dwelling on the shoreline and plant the marker. So this is why this wipe is so weird. Because I'm Peacekeeper 4, so I don't need to do any more quests for him. They made it easier to get to Lightkeeper, so I don't need to do any more quests for that. I'm not doing Kappa, so I don't need to do half of these things. But I'm level 50 and I haven't done Wet Job Part 2. It's like it's very strange.
Wait, you're level 50?
Yes, that's what I said at the beginning.
Oh my
it's
gosh.
Insane. I know.
thought you were still at like, weren't you at like 46? Oh, that's right, because you get the dailies or the weekly. Yeah, that's right.
Yes, you get like 150k XP every day.
Yeah. I usually stop playing
it's insane.
around that time though. Like 45 is kind of like
so easy though.
Yeah.
I've played 228 PMC raids, and I'm level 50.
Yeah.
Like, what is my? You know what? I've got I've got stats from the end of the previous wipes because I always take a stats picture. So let's see, 14.9.5 final stats overall. Or which one did I do? I've got PMC stats. Here we go. PMC stats. Here it is. So I was level 58 at the end of last wipe, after like a 7-month wipe, with 648 PMC raids.
Yeah, but then you play. I guess Gray Zone can't account for that much, right?
Nah, I only played it for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then they closed it down, and then they bought it like back live or whatever. But yeah, I mean it's crazy.
Your
so
point
yeah,
is...
end of last wipe. So level 58 was 9 million XP, 648 raids. This wipe, and that was as I said, that was like 7 months. So we're a month and a half in, and I've got level 50, which is 5.5 million XP. So I'm at half the XP I was last wipe. A month and a half into this wipe.
That's crazy.
Versus 7 months, right? With like a third of the PMC raids.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
So basically, you've leveled 33% faster. Did I do that right? It doesn't.
Oh god,
or is
I
it
don't even know.
66% faster? I don't know.
I'm not even sure. I mean, it'd be way more, right? Because okay, that's about the right way, isn't it? So it'd be like, well, I'm over halfway through what it was. So in 2.5 months, it's probably about the same. 2.5 months, 5, 7.5, 3. Yeah, it's about 3 times quicker, I think.
So 300% faster.
I think so, something like that.
Oh my god, that's kind of insane.
very roughly. Yeah, but it's because the dailies just give like they're just so crazy after
You're
level
talking about
46.
arena dailies, yeah? Or
Yeah, arena
oh,
dailies, they're just
because they
so
also
bonkers.
the bonus carries over to arena as well. Oh my god.
Correct. Correct. I mean, I haven't even looked today, but usually, and this is what I was saying before, I feel like it didn't like I feel like it didn't sink in properly. Like I will get 3 dailies in arena, and between them they will be like 40k, 60k, 70k.
Dude, that's crazy. Because aren't they normally like a tenth of that? Like 4K and like 6K?
Like beforehand, yeah. Until you're
Yeah.
level 46, then they go completely insane.
That is why is it scaled like that? Like it's like the
I don't
linear,
know.
it's like slow, and then suddenly you hit this thing, and it's like boom, the line just goes
Yeah.
up.
So let's say you got like 40, 50, and 60.
Hmm.
That's about sort of that's normal. You get like 150 KXP per day just doing the dailies, and if you did that for a week, that's like a million XP in a week, in literally a week. So I could get this, and that's why I've got 5.5 million XP at the moment, is because ever since hitting level 46, which probably was about a week ago, I've probably got 20% of all my XP again just playing arena for 10 minutes every day for 7 days.
That is
I can
insane.
complete I can almost always complete them in 10 minutes, almost always. Like I would say 80% of the time. Sometimes I have to play a second game of arena, and we're talking last hero, so it is exactly 10 minutes. So
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes it
and
takes me 20 minutes.
the only cost associated with that is A, buying arena, and then B, you have to have the money to reroll the quests to get these, god tier time efficiency.
True, true, but you get money from playing the arena match. You get
Right,
money from completing the quests, so it's like self-feeding in
right.
some ways. I did get bad luck on my weekly
Mm.
this week, and I had to re-roll it a bunch of times, and I ran out of money, and I had to bring in 3 million from the base game
From the base, yeah,
because
yeah. Because
I couldn't re-roll my weekly anymore.
I forget. Do you, regardless of where you're transferring from, do you pay the same fee, or is it like if you're transferring from Arena to Tarkov, you pay a higher fee or like a smaller fee or whatever?
From what I remember, I think it was more expensive transferring into the base game, and I think
Yeah,
it was cheaper
that's
back the other way. I believe, but I can't quite remember.
okay.
But yeah, like it gets more expensive after 46 to re-roll. The dailies didn't seem they're not too bad,
Hmm.
but the weeklies can be quite a lot. It can be like a few 100,000 per re-roll, which if you don't get the right one, if you don't get last hero, because I only play last hero. If you don't get last hero 8 times in a row, you could easily spend 2 mil, 3 mil re-rolling them, which is it's a lot, and you do get money for completing them, right? For actually doing them. Well, let's have a look. So I've just loaded up arena myself. So today, so I've still got my weeklies complete. This is the one that cost me a bunch. This is like get at least 5th place 6 times. And I think this is also part of the problem. There's like a min maxing with arena,
Yeah.
which means that we're kind of doing like the lowest, or at least I'm doing the lowest common denominator of things to get the rewards, right? Because
Hmm.
like, why
Hmm.
wouldn't I? And so this weekly gives me 150k XP, 750,000 rubles, a Lega medal, but unfortunately it only gives me zero point zero 0.01 rep, which it can go up to like 0.05 for a weekly. Anyway, it
Okay.
doesn't matter too much. And 125 GP coins. You have to get 5th place
Wow.
6 times. Now,
Wait.
if you have to get at least fifth
Okay, I
place,
was gonna say specifically fifth place. That might be hard.
if you play Chop Shop and now Equator and
Hmm.
Bay 5, those only have 6 players.
Okay, that seems a little bit of a oversight slash skewed.
So while I'm doing these dailies, I'll
Hmm.
just play one daily every day. I'll come in the top 5 every day, and in a week I'll have played 10 minutes every day on the last hero dailies. I won't ever be last place, and I'll just finish it alongside finishing the dailies.
Why do I want to throw up, but also just like praise you for your genius crafting,
Yeah, I mean, like
your
if you spend,
cunningness?
once you spent a couple of days rolling these things, it's like ends up being fairly obvious
Mm-hmm.
what to do. And so this is the thing. It's just like the way that the quests are crafted. It's like, yeah, you could play Sawmill with 10 people, but then you got to get in the top half then.
Right.
Whereas on Chop Shop, you only have to beat one person. And a lot of the dailies will be like that too. Either come top 4 or top 5.
Five winners and only one loser.
Yeah. I mean, if I try to replace this, so the other ones today, just for context, these are Blast Gang ones. So it's like 50k, 140k, and 50k for my dailies. That's XP. And the money is 230,000, 500,000, and 113,000. But that's not for Last Hero, that's for Blast Gang. So if I replace these, so my money right now is 2.6 million, right? If I replace, they cost about 50, 60k to do each replacement. It's going to replace them all. I said 2.6 mil. We'll just see how much it costs this time. Okay, that one's Last Hero. Nope. 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 It does take a while sometimes. Nope. Nope. Oh, there's it. Last Hero. Right, and we've got the last one to roll. Just keeps giving me Blast Gang. And again. And again. And again. It doesn't like giving you team for Last Hero, really. I've actually managed to run out of money again. So I'm out of money and it still wants to give me Blast Gang. So I'll have to go back to the base game and bring some more money in so I can reroll it again. But that was 2 million just right there, like just on reroll. So sometimes you can get unlucky and it.
But that's only like 2 bitcoins, yeah? Effectively?
Yeah.
Which if I'm assuming
bit, yeah.
I'm assuming you have a max farm by now.
No, because I haven't been to labs to get the item. So I've got 25.
Oh, that's right. I forget about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
25 is still good,
so,
though.
25 is still good. You get like one every day kind of thing.
Yeah.
As opposed to twice a day.
Yeah.
And they sell for 850 right now. So the money's not a problem anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Basically. I think I'm sat at 30 mil now. So it's like we're just in the
Yeah.
vertical line upwards mode because I'm not really spending money on stuff. And as I said, it got even worse because now you just pay for ACPCs with ref using GP coins that I'm just like getting. I've like kept most of the GP coins over in Arena because they're just like filling my stash and I don't have enough to spend them on. I think I know what Nice Guy is doing because once you get to ref 4, you can buy GPUs for GP coins. And then because of no final raid on the fleet, you can then just list them on the fleet. So you can basically convert your GP coins directly into rubles. So then it is like full circle, right? You go into Arena, you re-roll all your dailies to Last Hero, you complete them all. You take the GP coins, you transfer them to the base game, you buy all GPUs using the GP coins, you sell all the GP coins for rubles, and then that allows you to then pay for more re-rolls.
This is what we talked about.
It's insane.
A few episodes ago, converting doing some alchemy of GP coins into rubles so you can feed it back into the machine.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's definitely like the graphics cards on Ref 4 are definitely the best. But because like I'm only buying ACPCs and like half the time they come back in insurance because I'm dying to a rogue or something stupid. Something stupid happens to them. And so it comes back, it's easy to repair. So I don't have to buy that many. They're only 22 GP coins each. So I think I must have 500 GP coins in my actual Tarkov account. And I was just like, I stopped moving them across because I've got like so many. They're overflowing out of like my cases and whatever. So I was like, I'll leave them in Arena. So now in my Arena stash, I've got 1,000 GP coins. I've got nothing to do with at the minute. So I'm just going to wait until... I mean, not that I need the extra cash really, but like I'll just wait until I have Ref 4, which I'll have soon. And then, we could start farming that. And then money literally is just like solved. Money is just solved at that point.
So what you're telling me is Arena is definitely not a meme. It is absolutely meta.
I mean, Arena is definitely meta. Arena is definitely meta.
I did want to jump back to a statistic that you mentioned, which was your progressions increased by 300% since the previous fight.
Although that's probably skewed into the last week.
Yes, that's what I was gonna mention. Since but is it though? Because I guess if you're measuring it by time as well, but the point being is since you're leveling faster, you're going to hit this breakpoint of 46 where suddenly you just gain an immense amount of EXP, and a little bit of that's affected by luck and whatnot because of the rerolls or what have you, if but still, nonetheless, that is. I mean, you would have to do some really, really rough math. Like, I doubt you have a I doubt you even want to like scrub through your old footage to find when you were like level 45 and then compare it with your old footage of when you were, and like measure the time and dates and subtract and divide.
Well, I was just thinking that. I was just like, oh, you could actually just like chart the level,
Oh
you know?
God.
I was just like, I was looking back, I was like, I mean, it is amazing how quickly the progression goes, especially at the start of the wipe, because I play like a lot at the beginning of the wipe, and then after the first 2 weeks, I then go back to playing like, dad gamer hours after like 10 days or something. But day 5, I was at level 23. That's this wipe. I wonder actually, I wonder. I wonder. I don't really know. It's hard to know. So that was day 5, and that was on the 25th. So if I move that around, then 4 days later, so this is day 9. What level am I on day 9? 28. I'd have to compare the two. I don't think there's like a super easy way of doing it like right this second. And then a month later, I was... What level am I a month later? 44. Yeah, so I went from 29 to 44 in a month. Pretty much. And then... What is it now? That was the 30th of September.
Hmm.
So 29 to 44 in a month. And then 2 weeks later... Basically 2 weeks later, I'm at 50. I'm not really sure what the ramifications of that are.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think. Because obviously it's like the amount of XP you need is exponential. I mean, just basically, that was like 10 levels. Wait, that was like 5 levels a week before then. And then I guess I've gone up another 6 levels in 2 weeks. I'd need to actually look at what the XP was, I think, to like figure it out. Figure it out properly. But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely you've sparked my interest at least. So, like, interesting to chart like each wipe.
Yeah. I went ahead and designed you a new logo for your reband. Tell me what you think.
Oh yeah, that's good. I like that. Giga sheets.
It's just a circle of sheets in the middle.
Sheet of beef.
Sheet of beef.
Yeah. Of course, the very next rerolled into Last Hero. So we're on all Last Hero now, and these quests are 40k, 38k, and 35k XP. So today, if I'm going to do all these later, which I probably will, we're only talking 113,000 XP church for the day. That's pretty low. That's the thing. It is. You're on track to get 1 million XP per week with Arena, and that's without playing any base game. It's pretty nuts. Pretty nuts. So yeah, Arena definitely meta. Definitely meta for progression. But as some other people pointed out, like, who cares after level 42? So the 46 XP boost.
Yeah,
really...
that's fair.
Right.
I mean,
whatever, right?
Maybe, yeah, that's probably fair.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to hear the trials and the tribulations of a Lighthouse gamer?
I do. I'm that sick. I want to hear it.
Yeah. So I spent 2 full streams searching for COFDM radios.
Okay.
So that's what I need to do for Lighthouse, Lightkeeper. And I even made the full video about Lighthouse and all the spots and stuff. And, I know that those spots are the places. And I did 2 full streams of it. And I checked every spot. I even started going in Rogue Camp, of all things, to check the spots in there. Because I'm like that much more confident after the Gary Zont thing. The Gary Zont thing's actually helped a lot, I have to say. That did help a lot. And playing Lighthouse as a scav, just like roaming around and killing the rogues as a scav, and just like, I don't know, just like understanding the map flow a bit better just by like just being in there and that kind of stuff. It's definitely helped me to want to go in as a PMC. Doesn't feel quite as scary as it did. Like I'm doing a lot less like dying to rogues than I did before, which is good because now I know like where they are and like which ones move and which ones don't. You just have to kind of do it. So that has actually really helped. But I've been all over the place, and even at the end of the last stream, I'd had enough, and I went to Streets instead to hit Concordia. Not a single CFDM radio, not one. I literally did not find any, and that's 7 hours of like searching, which is not. I know it's not that much, but to not find a single one, and I need 5 for the quest line. You need 4 for the main quest, and you need 1 more. And I put a tweet out, basically just being like, "All right, guys, like, what's the deal? Like, this is insane. Like, this is actually insane. What's actually happening here? Where are people finding these things? Are people seeing them in places? Because I have heard, you get this kind of like, you just get this like weird anecdotal thing from chat, right? Because you get lots of different people coming in talking about their experiences, and you start to see patterns. Like each individual person's experience isn't relevant, but the aggregate of everybody's experiences is the answer.
Yeah,
it's like what's the wisdom of crowds thing? Like no individual videos. If you get 100 people to guess, well, like you get one person to guess how many sweets there are in the jar. It's like usually it's like wildly inaccurate. But if you get 100 people and then you average it, then often it's actually really close to the real answer. And that's kind of like it is with chat. You sort of aggregate. Yeah. That's kind of what streamers are in some ways. Your chat aggregators. So if you actually listen and whatever. So I was like, oh, what's the deal with this? And for some reason, this tweet just like blew up. I don't know why. It's probably my most popular tweet ever. Like 140,000 views. I don't really know why, but it was basically just my despairing call into the void. And many people answered. But yeah, like people are just like, the usual spots, chalets, blah, 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 like go to streets, like reserve, water treatment, etc., etc. But through the experience, it does seem that some of the places have been much less likely. Like there was the Gamer House, the unlocked Gamer House one on Lighthouse, which is the red brick one, which used to be pretty good. Like I think I found 2 of those when I did my previous Lighthouse video on that map, and I just like there just doesn't seem to be anything there. Like I'm yet to pick up a tech spawn. Yeah, I'm like yet to pick up a tech spawn in there, so it feels like that has just like gone completely. Marincart and Hillside House are still okay. It just keeps spawning the wrong items. I keep getting like vertexes of all things. Don't need them this wipe, and like vertexes is the thing that blocked me royally, in the last wipes, and I don't need them now. And now that I've completed that quest, no problem. But yes, haven't seen a single CFDM radio. I keep getting vertexes, silver badges, Veritas picks, even VPXs, but none of these blasted radio things. So yeah, like I think a lot of people are saying like, oh, try Concordia. So I did like 1 run on Concordia. I haven't hit it a lot, but I'm gonna try that. Other people have said, go to check 15, and there's like the other places. So I don't know. We'll just have to try. But in the meanwhile, the deal is to try and get it through the cultist circle. Lots of people said like got mine through the cult circle, and I've been trying that too. And I think I'd like misread. I thought that 300 because there's a new website. It's called Cult. What actually is it? It's literally cultistcircle.com. And you put in a threshold and then press auto select, and it picks items off the flea supposedly, which gives you it's the cheapest way to achieve that threshold. That's the idea. And I think it comes from like Very Bad Scav's community in terms of like how this works. So from what I've heard from people, I think I like misunderstood it because I think it automatically comes up with 350,000, but I think a lot of people have said you need to do 400k because I tried 350, it didn't seem to really work. But so I upped it to 400,000, and that did actually seem to start working. And basically, so what the idea is that every item in the game has got like an innate value, right? So the trader value for an item is some fixed percentage of its like real value. Like every item has like a real value, and the traders all have multipliers for different types of item. So therapist buys it for the most and fence for the least, but all of them are a percentage. Say it's like therapist is like, 65% of the total. So the idea is that you basically need to put in 400 or like 350, but I think it's 400,000's worth of items in the base value to get the 25% chance to get quest items out of it. And when it's worked because it's like it's going to take 6 hours. And if it didn't work, it ends up taking 14 hours. So what you're looking at right now is the recipes. There are particular items you can put in to get out certain items, but to get the quest item roll, you just need to hit the threshold.
Okay.
So I was putting in, like lots of people putting in like, 5 ratchet wrenches, for example, that kind of thing. Because they're like their base value 125,000 rubles apparently. So that's probably still too much because that's like 620k or something. So you can like do a bit of a mix and match to make sure that you get over 400,000 at the bottom. And once you do that, there's a 25% chance you're going to get some items. And in the last run, I got 2 CFDM radios. So 2 of them I have to complete the quest with now. You see.
Okay,
But it's like
I think I understand.
it's just weird because it now seems like there's loads of people just being like, yeah, I never bothered doing any of these fetch quests. I just put it in the cultist circle and off we go. It's just like, is this how we're playing the game now? It's just like AFK hideout like farm simulator, like best. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't actually want to. I didn't want to be too inflammatory, honestly, on Twitter. So I was gonna like, I wrote a tweet out being like, the best way to play the game is not to play, and then didn't send that in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was just like, that's not. I don't really like. That's not really what I mean. I don't want to be like. I don't know. I don't want to be like annoying or being like. But it does seem a bit strange to me. I'm just like, is this good? Like, is this a good thing? Like people get to a certain quest and they're just like, I guess I'll wait now. It's like tank battery quest. It's like more. There's a few when there was like a few niche things. You're just like, oh yeah, I always get my tank battery through the moonshine, so I don't have to drag it out. Okay, there's like 1 or 2 like niche quests where that's a thing. But like now, it's kind of like any quest that's hard. Oh, I'll just wait for the cold circle to give to me, and I'll do that on purpose. It's not even just like, oh, it's nice because I found this early. It's like I have no intention of getting CFDM radios. I'll just wait until it gives them to me, and then I'll move on. You know, it's just like a bit strange.
Yes. It is a bit I mean, it actually reminds me a lot of, remember when, oh man, I guess this was like, the timeline is so skewed up, but okay, the big thing back in the day before, no, when Fenrir first got introduced, I think, the big a common complaint we'll say was the quest that was kind of a big deal for a lot of people, which was healthcare privacy. I don't remember which one, but you get the one where you got to turn in a LEDX and what was like an ophthalmoscope
to get you the thick case one. Yeah.
Yes, because for a lot of people that was like a big milestone, or it's just very convenient and whatnot. And then they are like, okay, yeah, we get it. That quest was too hard. Being that you had to only find a thing, we'll make a craft for it. And then it was like this kind of weird thing where it's like, oh, well, now I just basically don't have to do the quest. I mean, I guess technically you had to find at least half of the quest, which was the ophthalmoscope. But between the ophthalmoscope versus the LEDX, that was like arguably much easier, at the very least easier than the other one.
Yeah.
And then now they've like kind of retroactively removed that a bit, where they've now made the prerequisite to crafting the LEDX much, much more difficult.
Yeah, and it's like pointless. You have to get like a Lightkeeper thing.
Yeah,
so you've already done it by that point, basically.
Right. But there's still, I guess, yeah. I mean, I guess I don't even know. I don't even know if you can even do that. Like, could you not have that quest done, healthcare privacy, whatever, and do the Lightkeeper task to be able to get the craft to do that? Because some of the Lightkeeper progression is gatekept by certain quest chains within the larger trader progression. I don't know.
What do you mean exactly?
So you know how? Oh, okay, Ida says you can. You know how like to start Lightkeeper, you got to have certain quests done.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like, I was curious if that quest, healthcare privacy, was a part of that prerequisite, like within the chain. Because I know it's like a chain of. No, it's not.
Yeah,
okay.
No, it isn't. No. Like they've actually pulled back a lot of them. So you used to have to do up to
really?
Shooter Part 7, and you used to have to do Peacekeeping Mission, which is why you needed the vertexes in the first place, because you had to finish Lend-Lease to unlock Peacekeeping Mission. But you don't need Peacekeeping Mission anymore. You don't need to do Tarkov Shooter 7. Like, the reason why I'm after the radios is because I'm actually on the Lightkeeper questline, and I haven't done Wet Job Part 2. I haven't done, there's loads of stuff I haven't done. I haven't got the thick case yet because I haven't found LEDX. I've not been looking at spots. I've hardly played Woods, so I've like not been playing in places where I'm going to find them. And so, yeah, I don't have that one done either. So there's like, it's quite a lot easier to get down the Lightkeeper path, but then you get stuck on this like CFTM radio thing if you get unlucky like me.
Um, sorry, I'm getting distracted. But anyways, jumping back was it does kind of remind me of that. It's like, initially, what was the problem? The problem was that it was too difficult slash annoying to do this quest
Mm.
because you had to like play the RNG role game of finding the LEDX, and then the spots to find the LEDX was like, the more reliable spots were like hot spots, and it was a bit of a grindy quest, right? Right. I mean, you would basically spend the entire wipe up to that point always looking. You're always on the hunt for a LEDX. Like you need
Yeah.
one if you're preemptively aware of this. RIP to the people who are playing for the first time. It sold that thing on the flea market as soon as I got it. Anyways, um, so then they added the crafting thing. And I was like, okay, now I just say it's basically a quote unquote hideout quest. Now I just craft it in
Yeah.
the hideout, and then that was which feels very similar to this, in that you know you get you have to. I mean, the prerequisites are a little different. You have to have the quest, like the
Yes.
quest that you want to farm the items for. Let's say you have to have that quest, otherwise you can't get the item that you're trying to farm
Mm.
for the turn in. So that is one prerequisite, and then you just throw money. It's like it's just, I just don't know. It's like I like. Don't get me wrong. I like the idea. Okay, like the conceptual idea of there's more to one way to skin a cat. Let's say.
Mm.
Sorry, cat loves that. That was the only colloquial phrase I could think of. Um, However, the way they went about it is like the probably one of the most lowest engaging ways of playing the game. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, why not just a different approach? Maybe. What if it was like a guaranteed spawn on the map, but it was only one or something? You know, it's
Mm.
like everyone had to fight over the resource, or like whatever idea you want to come up with. Something that's a little bit
Yeah.
more engaging is my point.
Yeah.
But
Something like that, or like it comes in an airdrop or something like that. Yeah, special airdrop. I have no idea. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah,
Yeah. I don't
because
know.
that does feel bad playing the like. Okay, actually, a good example would be if you want to do the Bitcoin 3. It's like there basically is a quest called "Go to Labs and find the item," right? And you can't like gimmick that any other way, and like it's a fairly decent spawn chance, right? Like it's not.
Hmm.
I guess it
Not
does
if you're
have a
me.
pool. Yeah, it does have a pool, but it's a
Unlike
smaller
90%
pool.
of the rest of the target player base that goes, I went into labs and I found it
Yeah,
in the very first room and I escaped straight away. And there's me a
right.
month later still looking for it, Like, I don't know, it's just like absolutely cursed over here, really. Like, finding items in Raid is like the Achilles heel for me in this game. I don't know what it is, whether I'm just bad at looking or just die too much or like the raids are too full or I don't know, something.
Yeah,
I just I just don't find anything. I just do not find the stuff.
yeah,
It's not even like in the lighthouse in the last week. It's not even like I've not been getting to the spots. It just doesn't spawn. It's just not spawning for me.
yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Labs was annoying previously for me because you just get into PvP all the time, and the spots were already checked by the time you got there. Like you could only realistically do a quarter of the spots on the map per raid most of the time, because otherwise you're just running into almost certain death to spots that have already looted kind of deal. So like that was like more annoying. Or you die off spawn straight away and then you're just like, I didn't even get to check them. Whereas like Lighthouse is just like, I'm checking them all. Check them all.
Yeah, you
Check
have
all the
to
ones in
check
the
them.
chalet. I'm like there first as well. I'm like there first. I check them all the spots, go down to the other one and like check all the spots there, and then go to the road camp and then check all the spots there. Which does actually bring me on to like a very slight tangent here, but it is actually interesting and kind of cool because lots of people are talking about the transitions right now. So this is a slightly different topic, but we can loop back in a sec. The transit I actually used for the first time in a legit way, a natural way, in a way that like fitted into the game and
Okay.
made sense, which was actually kind of cool because previously people asked me, what's the point of the transit? And I'm like, well, maybe if you found your LEDX or something, you can go out the transit and it's, you can save the LEDX without, whatever. Or it means that you can, multiply XP if you want to. And I believe the XP multiplier occurs like at the end across like everything, it seems. Like you just get like one flat multiplier at the end because it's only one stat screen. So you can just like rack up like a whole bunch if you want to. But I was playing one of these notorious Lighthouse raids. This is one of the few ones where I'd actually gone into the road cab, and it was one of the few ones where I actually ended up getting like completely stacked out of my mind. Right? I was like muled and propitoled up to try and like escape out of the northern extract, but because I'd gone literally everywhere around the map, I'd forgotten that I'd spawned north, and I didn't have it. And I found this out with 3 minutes to go, which I've done before, right? And I've just gone, oh god, can we get back to southern road? And I'm just like, yeah, got the mule on and the propitol on already. I'm just like SJ6 and the Meldonian that I found. It's just like, right, we're gonna get all the stamina, let's go. Can we make it in 3 minutes? And I'm like, I don't know if I would have made it in 3 minutes. I'm not sure. But on the way back, I was like, well, we should check the car at least. The car wasn't there. And someone in chat was like, well, you could just use the transit, and get out of the map that way. And I was like, that's actually a very good idea, because otherwise I'm genuinely going to run out of time. Downside to this is that if I go out of the transit that's next to the car extract, I'm going to load into a fresh reserve raid completely juiced out of my mind. But anyway, we took the extract, did manage to like send a bunch of stuff out. I had one of the LBT rigs in my backpack, and because the stacking, like, it still costs money to have those items, it like adds them all up. But in terms of space, as long as you can efficiently pack it into the transit slot, you could put rigs and stuff in there. So it's like actually quite useful. If you're looking to do the transit, you kind of want to have like nice space efficient stuff. So I managed to put LBT rig and a few other things in there. Still have like quite a lot of stuff on me, but at least I wasn't, all of the best stuff I managed to send back to the base. So anyway, I like turn up on reserve, and I'm just like, okay, we'll just go like really carefully. I'm like near the train station kind of deal, but more towards the dome side. So I just like went around the map, around the edge, didn't see anybody, went up to dome and left, because I already had Red Rebel. Fortunately, I had Red Rebel and the ACPC rig on, because I had that for farming chalets, because I've also got Red Rebel extract.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, so I got to go straight out of dome without having to like faff about with anything. But I was like, that's actually kind of cool, the fact that like the extract was there, and it's like, oh, it's conditional, so you have to go and play another raid afterwards with all the stuff on you, but you get to transit some stuff out. I was like, oh god, we had like 1 minute to go, and I was just like faffing about with the cash. It was just like transfer failed. I was just like, come on, please, no, I've got the money, like just take the money. I was like, this is gonna be the worst way to like fail the raid if the money doesn't get taken. Like people like put it in try it in your pockets, try it in your bag, try it in your pockets. I ended up like putting it in my pockets, then it finally took the cash. I was just like, oh god, why? This is like so extra stressful. It doesn't need to be this stressful. Jesus. But it was quite interesting. It was quite fun. I was just like, oh, okay, we've ended up on reserve, and then we extracted out of dome. I was like, this is cool. Like, I definitely want to use it a bit more. I haven't done much of it yet, but you can do it as scav now as well. You can just like go around, play like Infinity Scav, which is kind of neat, or like play Infinity PMC and just like rack up the XP. But I don't know, it's interesting. I think the hard part about it is that that you've got this XP multiplier, and it's like you kind of need the survival bonus to like make it worthwhile. So it's like, well, when do you go? You can't just like keep going until you die, because you lose like 50% of all your XP.
Yes.
Which kind of sucks. So I don't know about that really, but I'm trying to think of a way to make it like more natural to fit into some kind of route or whatever. Like, I think doing it with the guide is a good way, because apparently it works with the guide, which is kind of neat, and it makes it a lot faster as well, because I think a survive on transit counts for the guide, despite the fact that the transit's now open at 1 minute. So if you spawn right next to the transit, you can do the transit and get a credit for the guide without waiting for 7 minutes, because that was like part of the problem with the guide. You're actually almost better off doing it in marathon, because you have to survive anyway. And if you spawn next to a fortuitous extract, you're like right next to it, you only have to wait 60 seconds rather than 7 minutes sat there in the bush just going like, oh, come on, let me just play the next map. So yeah, there's that. So maybe it's good for the guide. But yeah, I'm like, got to think of some other scenarios rather than just like do it for doing its sake. I kind of want to do it for some purpose, but it sounds cool. I know some people in chat, I think it might have been Spinman or someone who's like trying to go round like one of the smaller loops and just see how many times you can like go round and round the same maps.
Yeah.
And then the one final question about it was, you unfortunately, and I think this is a shame, personally. I think this is a shame. You can't spawn in with a scav with a labs card and take the transit to labs, unfortunately.
So just to clarify, you can't spawn in as a scav with a labs card, period?
You can spawn in with a card, but you don't have the exit.
Okay, gotcha. So scavs don't have access to that specific transit.
Right. Okay. Which I think is a bit of a shame. Now, there's probably reasons why that's not the case.
Yeah.
But you'd still have to, use a card that you could have otherwise sold. So it's not like you're getting in for free. you're
There
forgoing the
is a
opportunity cost
cost.
of selling it.
Yeah,
I know some people see it
but
as being free,
this.
but that value would have been in your stash otherwise. And you have to spawn in with it on you or find one to be able to go in the first place. And it'd be kind of cool because you don't get to see whether you have one either. It's like you imagine you spawn in woods and you're just like, oh, I got the labs card, and you're like, right, we've got to go through the paths to get to factory now,
Yeah,
or to
yeah.
streets or whatever to
But
like
then,
go to labs as a scav. It'd be kind of fun.
I mean, people might gamify it and then spam factory, and then when they get it,
Yeah,
they just go to labs, and like you could think of it as like a free scav run on labs.
yeah, kind of, yeah.
Because I mean, basically,
Although, like, it is and it isn't, because then it's like, well, you still had to, as I say, you still had to pay the cost for the
of
card.
course, of course,
But you're now just playing labs with
you could
with
take,
a scav kit.
yeah, you could put the card in your stash and then take your PMC to labs. But the disadvantage of that is
Yeah,
you have to pay the kit on your PMC. Whereas with this,
but you choose, right?
of course, I mean, you could go in with a hatchet, but why not go in with a free scav kit? I guess you
Yeah.
could sell the scav kit, but I
That's
don't
the thing.
know.
It's the opportunity cost thing is going to like get loads of people thinking it's free to go. Do you know?
Of
Like, it's
course,
funny. The
yeah,
opportunity cost is so funny for
of
people, right?
course,
People's psychology for opportunity cost is like so weird. People
yeah,
will be like people will be happy to go into labs with a card that spawned on their scav that they would otherwise have left and sold,
mm-hmm,
and they'll be happy to
mm-hmm,
take that scav into labs with the kit with the scavs on them, but they would never in their right mind buy a labs card off the flea, buy the scav kit, and go into labs. And they would never do that because it's terrible
yeah,
value. And like
yeah,
the psychology is like so interesting. It's because it's the same thing. It's
yeah.
identical.
It is.
Economically, those two things are exactly the
It
same, and I
is.
find that really, really funny.
It
To
is
the like
funny.
those two things, it's so like it feels so different, right, between the two. I just think it's a shame that you can't scav into labs with that like outside, because you don't always spawn with the labs card either. It'd just be fun. It'd just be a funny thing to do. Like, oh, we can get to labs as a scav for like no real reason.
You know what's even further more interesting about that discussion that you or phenomenon, if you will, is that with
Mm-hmm.
the PMC, if you were to buy the scav kit on the PMC and buy the labs card, you have a secure container, so you're like even more like value versus the scav that spawned with a card and went to labs. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
you should just go. It's like if this hypothetical scenario were to exist, it would just be better just to buy it as a PMC. If your goal was to go to
yeah,
labs, just go as a PMC with the labs scav kit on your PMC, and now you have a secure container. So just like a
mm,
bonus.
yeah. It's strictly better.
It's interesting,
Yeah,
but
that's
the
that's
uh,
interesting.
the illusion of whatever. Why not? There's like this interesting thing with. I think that's one reason why Stu Tarkov is so like successful as its own like niche type of game is that people really like scav because this idea of like for free I get a chance to like get some good loot, whether it be like killing like if you could scav on labs, like people would go crazy for that. Like labs would be infested with scavs because people want to go in, kill some juicer, take all their loot and extract, right?
Yeah, yeah.
People like
They would
gambling.
do because that.
Exactly. It's like that's exactly what it is. It's like gambling. It's like, oh man, I could get this guarantee win by taking this lab card and putting it in my stash. Hypothetical guarantee. You got to survive, but like it's scav, it's pretty easy to survive. I don't know. Factory's kind of iffy, but just sidestep that for a moment and say it's like guaranteed. You put it in your stash, right? Or you could just gamble with it and like, can I double my odds? That's honestly what I kind of like about the transits is like there's this kind of like gamba aspect to it is like increasing odds. Like I
Mm.
could do another raid and increase my rewards, but tempting fate a bit.
I wonder if there would be some mechanism, because it's almost a shame, referencing back the conversation that we just had about like infinite XP and that you don't really get much
Mm-hmm.
after 42. There's a couple of quests, as we said, like 45 Intimidator and a few other things, but the the reward mechanism for the
Mm-hmm.
transits mostly is XP,
Right.
which and then we've almost come full circle where it's like XP used to be the most important resource, you know, in EFT, but now that's so freely attainable that now it's like not really much reward to like increase my XP by. I go through, I don't know, 4 different transits, and it's just like, okay, I've increased my XP by, I don't know what it is, but like two times or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do I really care? Like a regular EFT raid is what, like 4 to 5k. Maybe I do 5 of them and have 5 like decent, like normal raids, so that's 20k, and then I double that to 40. Like, it's just like it doesn't do enough, you know. It's like, what's why? And I've played 4 full raids there.
Yeah, that's a lot
as well. There needs to be something else. Like, I don't know what really. Like, it would need to be something like, you know, some special mechanism where you can like transit to places 5 times and it increases the boss spawn chance or something in the next raid for like everybody
that'd be
there,
interesting.
or something like that. Some way to just like, yeah, I don't know.
I know what you're saying.
Like
though,
one way of doing it.
It reminds me, like the whole mechanism kind of reminds me of like a roguelite, in that, you know, you go to the next dungeon, that being the next transit, the next map, but you get to like stash away some of your, you know, progress, like guaranteed.
Yeah.
And then now the difficulty increases, you know, now you got all this extra loot on you that you couldn't stash away, and now you gotta, you know, do the same process. It would almost be interesting if you got like a, you know, let's say maybe it was like an XP meter. And then once you like reached over, I don't know, 20k XP, you now got like a you know, 10% bonus to hideout crafting for the next 24 hours or something. And the next tier would be like some other random little buff, like extra 1% move speed. I don't know. You know what I mean? Just like some little things that people could like kind of like gamble for, essentially. Like grind towards.
Yeah, that'd be kind of interesting. And like, yeah, anything like that, even just like small discount at the traders or whatever, just like
consume 0.1% less hydration while in raid, you know, just like anything that's like little, and maybe like the ultimate, you know, 100k XP from transits could be like, and you have to do this like all in a single sitting, right? It's like, it can't just be like cumulative, it's got to be all done. Maybe it's like something really desirable, you know. I don't know what that would be. That would be not egregious, like 25% bonus damage to all firearms or something, you know. That would be egregious. We need something a little less.
I literally thought you were about to say 25% chance to get given a quest item. Like, just like this mark, just like the circle. Just like the circle.
But see, to me, that would be more interesting than the circle. I mean, don't get me wrong, convenience-wise, do I want to spend 10 hours playing, you know, 10 raids? No, not really. I'm going to try to just play Gamba over and over, but hideout Gamba.
Yeah. So the final thing about the hideout Gamba that I wanted to mention, and I don't know whether this is possible, I don't know how the game tracks it. So if you have the CFDM quest open, and because I'll need one more, apparently. I can't remember which quest it is, but you need one more later. If I don't hand them in and I leave it open, do I still have a chance of getting given more? Because you could then like almost tactically leave certain quests open to get really more. Smart. Yeah, and I was wondering if you could leave like, and if you hand something in, does it know? So if I hand them all in, but I still have something else to get, would it only give me the something else, or would it still give me the one that's handed in? Because you could do something like Crisis or the other one and leave the Ledex open and then just keep spamming the cult circle and just get it to just like get rid of all the other quest items. So the only one that you need is the Ledex, and just never complete that quest and just spam the cult circle, just get given the Ledex over and over and over again.
So you turn in the items, but you don't turn in the quest. But because you still have the quest as marked as you're currently on it, the cult circle thinks that you still need these items because the quest isn't completed.
Like yeah, so I might try it. Well, I'm going to see with the CFDM radios because it depends on how many it gives me. Because I need another one anyway. I think I found one. I actually do have one from like early on in the wipe when I know I don't even know where I got it from. And so now I have 2 more that I've handing in. So now I've got 3 out of the 4, I think. Actually, I can't remember now. Maybe I do need another 2. I'm not sure. But anyway, yeah, if you need another one, maybe you can just like, you can like not, so you don't turn them in, you keep them in your stash. So you turn in the other items that you don't want to have to like to get in the circle. So you have to get other things like LCDs and electronic components, all that sort of stuff. You turn those in, and then you leave the CFDM radios unturned in. So they're just in my junk box and just leave them there because they're like open. So then will the cult circle just give me infinite CFDM radios, finding raid? I think it might. I don't think it's clever enough to like look through my stash, see whether I have enough to hand in theory or whatever. So you could probably do that with the vertexes as well.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah, you just don't hand in the vertexes. You hand in the defibs, you hand in all the other stuff for Crisis, and then you just like leave the vertexes open, never quite complete it, just keep getting given vertexes. Sorry, not vertex, sorry, Lodex. That's one thought.
I could totally see that for sure.
Use it to farm. Very targeted farming.
Yeah.
And the other part about it, I don't know, did I talk about this last time? I did talk about this last time. The 2 drip out quests, which is like absolutely real stinkers for the cult circle because they dilute the pool. They're the ones where you need more tech gear and the other type of gear or whatever. Like, don't accept those if you want the cult circle to not just give you like goon rigs every time.
Oh.
You have to hand in like 50 of each type of LBT equipment and Wartech equipment.
Yeah.
And I've got both of them open, so it just keeps giving me random Wartech equipment. Like, and it's only a 25% chance to get quest items in the first place. And then when it gives you like Wartech rigs to hand in to drip out, I'm like, no, what a waste. Oh, what a waste. Terrible. So yeah, so don't hand them in. I think some people in chat are saying similar things. So don't hand them in. Keep hold of them. Okay. You should keep spawning them. Once they were turned in, people are saying they stopped getting given them. So it's only if you had like open slots, it seems. So it sounds like that strategy would work.
Okay.
If you want to farm even more LEDXs. Or whatever it is you want to target farm, as long as it's a quest that you don't care about turning in or not. Like Crisis, I don't really care about turning in, I don't think.
Yeah.
What does it even give you? It's one that I don't normally complete because you need 2 LEDXs for it, or three more LEDXs. Yeah, 2 more LEDXs. 100k, med case, bunch of skills, craft for the mule, craft for the ETG. Okay, so it's not very important really in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. Yeah, but no, transit's cool. Transits are cool. They're fun.
Yeah, I like that they added that.
I think it's nice that there's now you've just got like way more routes out. Like I actually don't know them all yet because you know when they first added it, it was one route through the map.
Correct.
But now there's a bunch, right? Because there's almost always one back the other way. The only exception to that is Shoreline, because there's only one way in or out of Shoreline right now. But there's like points all over the place on the other ones, and I don't necessarily know them all at the moment, which is kind of interesting.
I feel like they need to make the UI smaller. You know, when you go to check extracts now, it's just like half of your screen on the right hand side. Yeah. Make it scroll over or something. Like, good God, it's like I was watching one of your footage for shorts I was looking at, and you know, I saw that you checked extracts. It was just like it must have been like, what map would it have been? Reserve, maybe Lighthouse. I don't know.
Reserve.
It's just like, yeah.
It's probably Lighthouse because it's basically all I've been playing. Yeah, Lighthouse has got. It's got the one at the. Well, it's got the one at the car that goes to reserve.
Mm-hmm.
It's got Path to Shoreline. Or maybe does that only have 2? Could you go to Woods now? I can't even remember now. I think there's another one at Northern. I think there's another transit there. Let's go and check my map. Where's the map? The map of all maps. Yes, you can go to Woods. I think it's at Northern. Yeah, Path to Shoreline itself is a transit as well as a regular extract.
Right. And that takes up 2 slots, right? A yellow and a green.
Well, yeah, because I mean, Lighthouse, when you spawn in, if you spawn in at Southern Road, you have Southern Road, Northern Roadblock or whatever it's called, Path to Shoreline,
right?
The PMC and Scav tunnel extract, the car extract, the train extract.
Yeah.
You then have transit to Shoreline. You have transit to Woods. You have transit to Reserve. And I think that's it. It's 9. I think he has 9 extracts that come up at the beginning. All with different conditionality. Oh, and Red Rebel.
Oh my God, yeah, 10.
So I think there's 10. I think there's 10 extracts on Lighthouse, which is crazy. But it does give you a lot of options.
Not enough in my book. That map still sucks.
Yeah, there needs to just be like a call in a helicopter and just get me out anytime to make
Honestly,
Lighthouse more bearable.
I do hope they add something like that. That would be such a cool like flare item. It's like you just shoot in and like a helicopter flies over and it's this little extract zone, and maybe it takes like 2 minutes and it's open for like a minute or something. That would be so cool. You know how many people would like run to that? Could you imagine
Yeah.
just like playing, I don't know, Lighthouse, and then suddenly you just see this giant helicopter on top of the giant mountain rock, and
Yeah.
someone's going for the extra.
It'd be cool. It would be
Really
cool.
cool.
Yeah,
I
like
didn't.
even on Factory, the extra, because I didn't actually know where the ones on Factory were. And there's like the one that you take, which goes to woods, the normal one. So there's the two outside sections on Factory now, one on each side of the map. And one of them, there's like a vehicle, but it just like takes you to woods. And then there's one on the opposite side that takes you to customs. And then the labs one actually is in the underground bit that looks like the sewer. So you technically could end up in the sewer. So it's like another thing that I was talking to Chat about, being like, it would be cool, and I don't know whether they have plans for this, but it would be cool if the extracts that you took started you in the place where you're supposed to be, because it doesn't do that
Yeah,
right now. And like it's
yeah,
obviously intended that way, because on Factory you go in through sewer. So to be able to like enter through sewer as well, I know it's a bit more difficult, but it would give a real reason for these like transit extracts to exist, because you'd be like, well, I can pick my spawn basically by virtue of like what I do, or at least I know where I'm going to spawn. I can like path a route that's more deliberate rather than just spawning randomly on the map.
mm-hmm,
It could be
mm-hmm.
gamed to hell, because apparently multiple people can go through the extract even if they're not in the same squad. So like, can you imagine? Could you take like a 20 squad to streets or something, and just like you have the whole map to yourself or something? I don't know.
Yeah. I imagine that's probably why they didn't do something like that. Because then, if you did
Yeah.
happen, I mean, maybe you could work around it and say like only one extract, like only one actual grouped up team per map that takes the transit. You know what I mean? Like when it's matching players, like let's say you and I are a team, right?
Mm.
And then Billy and Bob are a different team. And I take the transit and they also take the same transit like 5 minutes later or a minute later, whatever. And then now we're both in queue and then we're going to factory. It's like, okay, well, this team goes through this queue and there can be no more teams from the transit here on that match that's we're building for a queue. And then, same for
Yeah.
like Billy and Bob's team. Maybe they could do something like that.
I'm already starting to cook. I'm just like, okay, so you spawn at like one of the other spawns. You're like, oh, we spawned as a 5-man over here. That means somebody has to have spawned in at the transit spawn because they're fixed spawn. We didn't spawn there, so there must be somebody there.
Oh no. Yeah. Yeah, you might be right. It might be too problematic.
Like, there's probably not. It's only like Factory really that might even be a problem on, or
Yeah.
maybe not, to be honest, because there's too many other spawns. There's too much unknown information. But I can start to see the
Right, right.
flow forming. But like that does kind of make sense though. But yeah, I think there's like the issue of, I mean, to be honest, it's probably an unnecessary thing. Like the fact that they wanted people to go in together, though. It depends what you want. You have to decide what you want, right?
Yeah,
Obviously,
what
needs to
you're
decide
willing
what
to.
they want. Do they want rando PMCs to be able to team up and extract together and move to the next map together after a raid? I don't feel like that's necessary, but they said, oh, we want that. So like, okay, well, if you want that, you've kind of like broken the upper limit on your squads now, like already.
So you
Like,
can actually just take 20 people in a single extract.
I
I
think
thought it
so.
was limited like the cars where it's like up to 4 or 5 or
I
whatever.
don't think it has. I don't think it has a thing. It just
Hmm.
says interact. So I think
Okay.
you can all interact together at the same time. But to be honest, I'm not sure if anybody's tested it. But BSG said that this was the case. But BSG says a lot of things.
They do.
So in my mind, it would be like, okay, well, you can't go through with a random group.
Hmm.
And then you both then get split up into different raids and you both spawn in the place you should spawn in the next map. But like, one group will get the first raid that comes free and then the next group will get the next raid that comes free, something like that. Yeah, because it feels, I don't know, that'd be cool, because then you could be a lot more, yeah, as I said, you could be so much more deliberate about it. You'd be like, you could, for certain quests, I can actually see that being useful as well. Like, I want to go and do the medical van
Hmm.
on woods. So actually, what's the woods to Well, factory to woods, you take the car thing. I wonder where that would bring you out. I actually don't know where you go from woods back to factory. It's probably the factory exit gate type deal.
Yeah,
I
I was gonna
imagine.
say that.
I'm actually gonna go check. I actually don't know.
Nice thing about this is they can kind of make up whatever they want within reason. Like it makes logical sense. You take the sewer extract on labs, you to factory, you come out in the underground somewhere in factory. But
Yeah,
even
so it is
then,
factory gate.
you could do factory gate. So you can just infer there's a
Yeah.
sewer manhole somewhere outside of the map. Whatever.
Yeah, because so Woods to Lighthouse is outskirts, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
like very close to outskirts. And then Woods to Reserve is RUF Roadblock. That was the one that you took to do the transit event. And then Factory is the Factory Gate Scab PMC extract. That's all that doubles up as the transit. So because that's the thing. You could be like, oh, I want to hit the med camp in particular. So I'm going to go via Factory first. I'll queue into Factory. I'll use the Woods transit, and then I know I'm spawning on that side of the map.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting too, because some of these they aren't actually spawn points now. So like suddenly there's a new spawn point at the factory lab tent.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. Same with like the underground, uh, the door. Would you need a factory exit key, factory entrance key now to get into factory? You spawn in the extract underground. um,
Yeah,
that's
I don't know.
funny. Unlocking the
I
door
wonder if there's a
from
number of
behind.
people. I don't actually know. I'm sure.
Well, one thing I
multiple
was
people
gonna
can
say
at the same time.
in defense of BSG, for making a case for allowing randoms to team up with you to like extract together. I feel like it would be really cool to meet a friendly scout and be like, hey, do you want to just like go to factory and work together? It was like
Yeah.
but it's like you can never really trust them because they're still a filthy scout. It'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah. It would be interesting.
I'm very curious to see it because I feel like they're not like this isn't it for transit. So I'm very curious to see like what's the future and where these go. Because like initially I thought, oh, this is like just an event, you know, when they first introduced it. But now it's like, no, this is it's part of the game. We've expanded it a bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's clear it's going to be important. I think with this
Mm-hmm.
the storyline, right? This Shoreline doesn't go anywhere except back to Lighthouse. Like Shoreline has the terminal extract on it.
Yeah.
It's like so obviously going to be part of the storyline
Yeah.
in some way. Storyline quest, you're gonna have to get there, transit through to like escape from Tarkov and yada yada, and do the single player bit. So I'm excited. It's cool. I do need to do a bit more of it. So maybe I can maybe I could do that soon actually because I don't know. Like Lightkeeper's just starting to annoy me. Like maybe I just wait to get the CFDMs. I feel like I'm wasting a lot of time. I could do something just like more fun. It's not even like I'm using guns. That's fine, but it's not even like great content just to farm CFDM spots like for days and days and days and not find anything, and then get two in the damn circle.
There for like a week or two, I was like every day just scavenging Lighthouse. It was miserable. I hated that so much. So
yeah. Okay. Tell me, what's this game then? What's this game? We'll take a break away from Tarkov. What is Dale and Dawson's Stationery Supplies? What is this?
How to describe this game? So this game is effectively Among Us, but it's kind of set in the Office universe. Being the TV show, whether UK, US version doesn't really matter. The reality mockumentary, but I don't know how we like someone recommended this game. We tried it, so we did, and it's just really fun because it's like you get to. I mean, you're set in office, and you have two different factions, right? You got like employees, and then you got slackers, and slackers are like the sussy people, and that are like the imposters, if you will, and you have tasks to do, just like in Among Us, but it's all like office related stuff, like send emails to clients and order stuff warehouse and yada yada. And slackers have to like set trash bin on fire or like drink a beer out of the refrigerator and stuff like. put jelly in your employee stapler, steal their mouse and stuff. And it's funny because if your mouse gets stolen, you actually can't use your computer. Like you gotta sit down and you're moving your physical mouse. You're like, guys, am I bugged? What's going on? Like, why can't I click on anything? It's so fun. And you have to call meetings as well. And it's just, we're just having way too much fun with it. Just like basically leaning into like the role play of it all and just
Yeah.
like, being horrible people.
Always
Like,
good to RP as terrible people.
yes, it's great. Man, this is like if you have a group of friends, even if you don't like, and you like this style of games, social deduction. Like I don't know how public lobbies are, but there are public lobbies, of course, and
Hmm.
it's got like a queue and whatnot, and you could try it out. But like, definitely, if you got a group of friends that's like, and you like this kind of social deduction game, it's fun because you got different roles. The two that I obviously stated, but then there's manager. So at the start of the game, someone's like made manager, and
Hmm.
so they can be trusted. Like you can't be a slacker and manager. So you're like the boss, and you have your own kind of task, and your main task is you have to after a lot amount of time, corporate wants you to fire someone. You have to fire someone, and there's like a productivity bar, and if it reaches all the way in the negative, then you lose and the slackers win. So you gotta like suss out who's you gotta and do just like CCTVs, and it's just like I love it. It's honestly so much fun.
It sounds unhinged.
It is, and
It's,
it's
uh,
$8 in the States. It's a indie-esque. It's got a very like you know I don't even know what kind of art style you call this. Almost like voxel.
what is this? It's like Jagex circa 2008. Like RuneScape, like OG
Yeah,
RuneScape kind of like
yeah, you're
look to
right.
it. I don't. Yeah, I didn't even. It's like it's not even like voxel. It's just like bad graphics from the past.
Yes, yeah,
But I
yeah.
like that. Yeah, low poly. Yeah, it's like it's the realm
That's
of
great.
like old school RuneScape slash like Final Fantasy VII in the world. No
Mm-hmm.
cutscenes. The actual
Mm-hmm.
world. Yeah,
And
low
everything's got
poly gaming.
like a '90s aesthetic to it. Like the computers, they're like the classic '90s big monitor on top of like a workstation or a work desk.
Mm.
I love it.
Yeah, the CRTs.
Yeah, the
Ah,
CRTs.
the aesthetic of CRTs at a LAN party is something that I do
Mm,
do miss from time to time. It was highly impractical.
of
Someone
course.
always had a near TV sized monitor that was just enormous. But that is good. That sounds fun. The social deduction games I'm not actually that good at really. I don't think I've played enough. It's like I've played some party versions, which I kind of end up getting into. I think it's just because they're kind of complicated in some ways. Like just like the interaction between the different people ends up getting complicated. The one that I was actually okay at was probably because we played it a few times. You do actually have to, you know, play these things a bit. The ones that that don't have any what's the word, like physicality to them are a bit more. I find a bit more like easier. So there's one called like Secret Hitler that we played like a bunch of different times. So it's like fascists versus the regular people or whatever. I can't remember. And you have to like work out who's actually Hitler, and it's like that's quite fun. But the thing about like Among Us, I've never been particularly good at Among Us because
Mm.
it's like the social thing, but you're also trying to like do stuff with your characters. Like it's like quite distracting. I find like moving around and like not getting killed by some imposter or whatever. It's like and as the imposter as well, like moving around in a way that looks like that's actually even harder. Actually, usually these things, it's very easy to be like not lying when you're not lying. So you just like do normal stuff and try not to die. Whereas like as the imposter, you're like trying to like think on the next level of like how do I look to the other people? I'm like trying to achieve my goals at the same time as looking entirely normal. It's like really hard. It's
Yeah.
like really difficult. It's like a lot harder playing as the kind of imposter side. I find, especially when you're having to like physically do stuff like move around and like look like you're completing tasks and whatever.
It could
It's
be
like it's
stressful.
yeah. It's like it's quite stressful. It's like it's just quite hard to be successful at that kind of thing.
Hmm.
So I don't. Has this got is that like a similar vibe in this, or is it a bit more
I guess it depends on the
light?
group you're playing with. It's kind of
Mm.
like that more atmosphere vibe. Like it can be like that for sure. Um, I mean, I remember when Among Us was really popular. I had gotten to a bit, and I found this one like group of friends. They were like, I think they were one of them had like played Overwatch professionally a little bit, and some of them
Mhm.
were kind of like esport related commentators and etc.
Okay.
Um, and they were pretty competitive. So we took those Among Us games a little too seriously. Yeah, some nights some things got a little heated, but it was like hilarious at the same time because they would, I was new to the group, so I didn't have a lot of the deeper, connections with some of them because if you're playing with a group of randoms versus you're playing with some friends, you may have a better sense of when your friend is being a little dishonest, doing a little
Mm.
fibbing, or you might know some of their tells. So it is a lot. It really depends on the dynamic of your group and how much you lean into like the winning aspect or whatnot.
Yeah. I actually remember getting really annoyed with the aforementioned party game just because like there was like one where I like managed to I had like a really just good argument for solving everything out. And like just I just didn't get believed.
Oh
And it was like
yes.
I was on the good side as well. And I was just like, I can't believe you lot are so stupid. I was like, I actually can't believe how stupid you are. And I was like, I'm actually annoyed. It's like how like what how why did you even make this, like it doesn't even make sense. And because I was like on the the good side or whatever, I was just like
Yeah.
that, like publicly basically. It wasn't even after the game, it was like during the game. I was like, I'm just gonna sit here and sulk now basically because I'm like so angry that you you
I
are like
mean,
so stupid making this decision. It was like it was hilarious after, so everyone found it really funny. I was just like steaming.
these things can ruin friendships.
Yeah.
These things can happen. Yeah. No, that is such a like I'm sure a lot of people can relate to the experience. Like and meanwhile the imposter is just like, yeah, he is kind of sus, you guys.
Yeah.
He's like agging it on and you're visibly flustered. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it is funny. That's good. How many players is it, this thing?
I think at a minimum you need at least four to play.
All right.
And I think it goes up to like 20. Like you could
Whoa. Okay.
yeah, you could really have a big office if you wanted. We haven't gotten nowhere near to that. Like I've actually thought, I was like, guys, would it be like hypothetically fun if because there's a lot of modifiers when you make private lobbies. If we made it
Mm.
like really chaotic for the manager, like they basically had to play middle management simulator where corporate's coming down on them and all there's like five slackers and there's just like pure chaos. Would that be fun, you guys? And people are like no. That wouldn't be fun. So yeah, you're right.
Fun for everyone except the manager.
Yeah, it's like actually imagine playing a video game where you're just simulating sending emails, calling it fun. It's crazy.
It is pretty crazy. Yeah. In the last couple of minutes,
Hmm.
I've continued to play Satisfactory.
Oh yeah.
So I played a little bit before. I think like I'd had like a handful of hours, and I was kind of comparing it to Factorio last time, and I'm now. I mean, I've actually. It's one of those things where I actually wasn't necessarily like insanely gripped straight away. I think partly because it's one of those weird ones where like if you've played something quite a bit, it's like if you went to go and play League now, you'd be like, oh, this is interesting, but you wouldn't necessarily get like sucked in straight away because you're just like, oh, it's kind of the same, but I don't really know anything about this game. It's like it's the same game, but I like have to relearn a bunch of stuff, which is like kind of annoying. There's almost a little like hill that you have to climb to get into it because you've played something so similar in the past, even though they are quite different, right? 3D versus 2D, whatever. But like the problems are sort of similar. But anyway, since last time, I'm now at like 35 hours. So that's like it's quite a lot of like gaming out of hours that I've done on this thing. Been putting a bit of time on it, and so
Yeah.
definitely see the just like the differences and the advantages of Satisfactory and like some of the more fun stuff. Like I said,
Okay.
there were more things to do, but like there is actually there is just a lot of content I think in Satisfactory. I can see why they've gone to 1.0 because
Mm.
there's a lot of stuff like doing all the things that we've done up until now on my own would have taken ages. So I've got like that one friend who's kind of the explorer on our group who I talked about last time. And he's like research, because it's like research you have to do with all the things you find, and he's like researching all sorts of stuff, and he's like, oh, I found this really cool thing for us guys, like this is awesome. He's like managed to create, in all these like resource management games, there's usually a limited box of some kind where you can just, whenever you put resources in it, you can access them from anywhere, kind of thing. He's like researched one of those, and so now we're kind of like moving stuff around. And because I was in the main because I was in the main base like doing things, so my job is usually like the couple of important items that we need like thousands of, I usually end up like building the system to make those things. It's usually the job that I end up taking. But because I'm like in the main base, just like reconfiguring like massive belts and all sorts of stuff, people are now starting, like, I'm basically like logistics at this point, because people are like out in like various outposts without access to the main base with the resources. And like, oh, could you just upload like 200 iron bars to the dimensional depot? Could I have like 50 plastic? Like, oh, could you upload like some ammo? And I'm just like, guys, like, I'm trying to organize. I'm just like shipping stuff from containers to you. Like, we were saying, like, it's just quite entertaining. Like, if you had a bigger server, there would definitely be somebody who's just like in charge of logistics, so like just moving stuff to each other. So yeah, myself and a friend, we like worked on getting the trains working. So we've got a single train line now. It's just like it's just nice, right? Like it's got just such a cool aesthetic to it, the whole game. And yeah, the stations are named, and there's like a timetable for the trains, and it like toots when it leaves the station. You can like ship resources from one place to another with it, whatever. And yeah, we're getting there. So we're into the last two. There's like a bunch of tiers. I don't know whether it continues on from here, but we've finished like half the game is just like moving stuff into space up this like space elevator thing, and getting the next tier unlocks the next thing, which it gives you, the next whatever. So you start with like biofuel, and then you start using coal, and then you start drilling for oil and like extracting oil and using that to make fuel to then like power generators, whatever. So then each one's like a sort of exponential step up on the last one. So we're into the tier now, I think it's like 7 and 8, where in tier 8 there's like, that's where you unlock nuclear power, but we're not there yet because we've got like a bunch of the other stuff to do. We're like just about to extract and do aluminium next. But it gets like, again, exponentially more complicated to actually make the things. So we've like literally just unlocked that stage, which is towards the end of the progression. But I'm sure there's like a ton of other stuff that you can do after that. I don't really know. I'm not really sure like where it's going after this. But it's already got like fiendishly complicated at this point. And I think like that's why I've actually ended up like, myself, I've also exponentially played more and more as I've got into it more and more, because it's as I deviate away from the things I know in Factorio, I've kind of taken the lessons of the problem solving, but then applied them to this new game world, and stuff that you just can't do in Factorio is like, oh, actually, you should do this. And it's like, there's because it's in 3D, there's a very strong temptation to be like, okay, well, I need to move something from one level to another, right? So you make like a big 45-degree belt that goes down on the floor, but they can't be like vertical. But there are vertical belts, but I just kind of forgot to use them. They're like sort of conveyor belt type, like escalator type things, and like elevators. And I realized that like making these like 45-degree belts is like a surefire way to full on spaghetti. You end up like a super spaghetti base if you do that, because there's just like stuff everywhere. Whereas like multiple floors and vertical elevators really are the way to like move stuff around, because you can kind of start fresh. Each time you want to do something new, you're just like, I'll just build a new floor. I'll pull all the resources I need vertically away from, wherever it comes from in the first place. And then I'll just like lay the machines out there. And this kind of like solves the problem of having like how big the machines are. Cause that's what I was talking about last time. It's just like, everything's so huge, it like just ends up like covering such a massive expanse of stuff. I'm just like, man, but like you can just build more floors into the air, into the air. And it just kind of solves that problem sort of. So it's, yeah, it is spiraling out of control slowly. But like people keep coming back to the main base, and they're just like, "Oh my god, what have you done?" It's like 4 stories of just like machines, cables, pipes, like stuff piping into each other. I'm just like, yeah, I've been cooking up something here.
That's cool.
I'm doing good stuff. So it's cool. Yeah, it is pretty cool. So like getting there, and I'm definitely into it now, and can see the advantages to Factorio. I think I still feel that like Factorio is like neater and like kind of more pure in some ways. It's like. It's just more tidy, and it's more like slightly more intricate. But Satisfactory still definitely has its place, and it's got its own challenges. It's got its own logistical challenges and things. And I've for sure I've like torn apart the base a few times and like rebuilt it all. I still feel that like Factorio is like slightly more. It scales slightly nicer because of the way that the research works. Because the research in Factorio basically you need to continuously produce science, to research stuff. And at the beginning, it's like the things take like red science, which is the easy one to make. And then they take red and green, and then they take red, green, and black, and then they take red, green, and blue. So you continuously need to make like the base components. Whereas I find in Satisfactory, because you've got like an arbitrary goal to just produce X of Y item, you kind of like stop needing to produce, not entirely, but you stop needing to produce as many of the lower level things. So you kind of end up like refactoring stuff more often. Whereas in Factorio, it's like whatever you build at the beginning, usually if you've done it in a scalable-ish way, it usually just stays and carries on making stuff. And then you either like add to it and the thing just expands out. Whereas like Satisfactory, you kind of have like changing requirements and changing needs. So you're like, oh, we don't really need as many of this anymore. So I'll like redo this or redo this. And so I've actually like redone the base like quite a few times in lots of different areas, like just change things around and like change what is being produced, or to make it like more flexible. So it's like, yeah, it's interesting. There's different challenges. There's like one of the major differences from a technical level, which is the last thing I'll say before we wrap up, is about like it sounds like a really like niche thing, but it's like buffer chests. So in Factorio, it's like you want to make stuff, but as soon as, I don't know, there's a bottleneck somewhere, everything stops. So often you want to have these like buffer chests available where you continue producing for a certain amount of time before it stops. So you've actually got like a big enough backlog if there is a buffer or something goes wrong or whatever, right? And weirdly, Satisfactory's got kind of like it's got the sort of the opposite problem in that the chests are actually quite big, especially for the more complicated items. They're massive. They hold loads of things. And in some ways, this is a disadvantage because you don't necessarily need loads of the complicated technical items, because some of them take, 2 minutes to make, a minute to make each, and they stack in like stacks of 50, and the box is like 8x4. So it's like it's a huge number. And in Factorio, you can block off slots so it doesn't just keep making the same thing again and again, even if you don't need it. Whereas there's no way to do that in Satisfactory, and the smallest box is like 8x4 with stackable items inside. So you're just like you have to like almost like, I don't know whether there's a way around this, I don't know, but like manually like disconnect the storage to like stop it from just like using all your resources, making like random stuff, because you don't need all these things producing all at the same time. Whereas in Factorio, you can do, and you can limit the size. You can make it just like 1 stack or 2 stacks or 4 stacks or whatever you want. There's no way to like make the chest like smaller in Factorio, which is actually like a really weird problem. It just like things just keep. I ever had like when one of my friends came in, it's just like, oh, you just like keep that thing that you mass produced. It's like sucking all the resources, the whole base, like all the iron is like going into this one item that we now don't need anymore because it's not part of the next goal. So we've had to like turn the machines off. But there's like no way to, it seems like, manually control them. In Factorio, there's like a signaling network. You can like turn stuff on and off. You can do things like, you do really complicated things in Factorio. It's why it's for programmers really and like engineers. It feels a lot more like that. Satisfactory feels like it's got maybe not quite as complicated, but it's got a broader appeal. You can do things like, you can like link a chest to a machine and say like, when this chest is full to a certain amount, stop making stuff.
I see.
And things like that. And there's just this like, there's a whole like exponential complexity around like the automation systems you can make.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know if that exists in Satisfactory. I haven't got to the end of the tech yet, so don't know fully. But that stuff doesn't seem to be quite as advanced on that end level. But it's good in different ways. So yes, it's fascinating playing something else that's so similar but so different as well.
Yeah.
It's good. I'm definitely addicted, I would say.
I was gonna say I've seen you pop up. GigaBeef is now playing dedicated server Satisfactory. I was like, yeah, he's been gaming.
Yeah, I turned that one off. I actually turned that one off on Steam because that says 60 hours, whereas Satisfactory I've only played 30 hours because I've just like been in the evening, just like been turning it on because people are playing it on my PC.
Gotcha.
While I'm not there, so I turned it off like showing up because I was just like, well, I don't need people to know I'm running the Satisfactory dedicated server. That's like silly. I'm not actually even there half the time. So yeah, it's good.
That's cool. I feel like I would like this just to build a giant like skyscraper orange utopia of like corporate factory stuff, I just want to I would like something. It's almost like Minecraft. You see like these like amazing like worlds that people create and they want to like take you. It's almost like that, but in a much more factory sense.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually, do you know what reminded me of it? What reminded me of this was you talking about this like office game.
Yeah.
And one of my explorer friend, he's just like, oh, could I have 150 megawatts of power, like, or this item or that item? And I was just like, oh yeah, that's fine. You can have it. Take what you like. And my other friend was playing at the same time, and he was just like, he's like, okay, well, we've got your approval, but I'd like it in triplicate from all departments. Just like, he's like, he just became like he's like role playing the corporate guy now, as well as being like the adventurer for some reason, and it's just like it's got the same kind of like thing about it where it's like it's like an office, like in an office, and I'm like logistics and resourcing, and someone else is like power management. It's like you got to get sign off from logistics before you go and do your adventure. Yeah, I sent you the very last thing. I sent you a screenshot of like part of the distance of the base. This is sort of the aesthetic that you expect. It's like it's very, very cool because it all starts off as like, well, it depends on what type of world, but if you go for like a standard like grassy plains like Minecraft style world, then you eventually just like fill it with stuff. So there's the train line.
Oh,
You
I
can
see
see in the background
distance. Yeah.
all the stuff. There's like all the chimneys from all the power like all the coal power generators, which are like coming from mines miles away. And then there's this like sprawling factory just in the far distance with all sorts of belts and stuff going on. But you can't even really see it from there. But I just can't like looking at it. It's just like nice to look at.
That's
It's
cool.
cool.
Is that the stuff floating on the water, the little body of water? Is that like power being
Those are water
generated?
pumps.
Okay.
So those are pumping water out because the coal needs water because it needs to create steam. So it's got water and coal going in for the coal power. Then the oil one is like miles away, but I just took a screenshot while I was like traveling on the train because the train just goes around in a circle, and when the train turns up, it goes like doot and turns up, and then like dumps its stuff in there, and I like sometimes get on to go back to the main base. It's fun, and like all the you can like name the stations. The stations got like the name above them, and like a train kind of like like you like
That's
LED
really
like
fun.
dot font kind of thing. Like aesthetically, it's so pleasing.
Yeah.
Very, very nice to look at, for sure.
I'm definitely gonna. I have a couple of friends. I don't know if they're playing it as much, but yeah. I mean, more and more, it's made me want to give it a try. I know we're kind of playing a little bit of. Well, yeah, we kind of are playing just me and a couple of friends. V Rising just on cooperative, basically, just to finish because they did their 1.0 release, and we've always kind of like played it a bit, but figured we'd just do it cooperative just to keep it kind of simple, and that way it's not super committal or someone doesn't rate us and we have to start over, something like that. So, but yeah, that's been fun. So yeah, maybe after that, maybe we'll think about doing something like this because it looks like there's something there. For at least for me, like, I could see myself liking this and enjoying the aesthetics part of it.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I think you could definitely get into Factorio too. It's one of those
Probably.
games that you just like it pulls you in. It really does. Like it pulls you
It's gonna
for
come down
sure.
to like the first 20 to 30 minutes. Am I like, is stuff clicking for me? Am I getting
Yeah.
this, or is it, am I not? That's gonna be the turning factor.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
all right. We will conclude
Cool.
it there. We'll save any other rants for next week's cast. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you all next week.
Catch you later.